Chapter 265. Here, he was the supreme emperor. A large number of memorials piled up like a mountain. Lin Yu had already asked Qin Ji to handle them. However, Lin Yu still had to make some decisions himself. Mu Qingqing and the others should be sleeping. Who would have thought that I would still have to review memorials here? Lin Yu felt that it was too hard for him. You may leave first. Lin Yu waved his hand. At the door, Long Lin, Lu Wuhan, and a large number of maidservants bowed and left. During the month of Mao, a total of 170 million glory baht was spent. 30 million of them were used to refine pills for the Yao clan, including blood chi pills, glory chi pills, spirit condensation pills. 57 million of them were used for the disciples' cultivation expenses. Oh my God! This dazzling array of memorials listed all the details of the low-key sect. It was clear that these people of the low-key sect were really concerned about this sect. Sect Master, a quiet voice sounded. Lin Yu frowned slightly. Didn't you say that you didn't need anyone? He raised his head and saw that it was Qiu Lingshan who was kneeling outside the hall. I'm sorry. Sect Master, please forgive me. I didn't know you were busy. At this moment, Qiu Lingshan's head was lowered, but her figure was clearly more curvaceous than before. It's you. Waving his hand, Lin Yu's attitude became gentler. Come in. Qiu Lingshan's delicate body trembled. She felt that the current Lin Yu was even more majestic than before. His every move was filled with the spirit of an emperor. What's the matter? Lin Yu flipped through the memorials and suddenly felt nostalgic. I just missed you. Qiu Lingshan lowered her head. Every time Lin Yu came back, he would come and go in a hurry. There was no chance for her to talk to him. She heard that Lin Yu was back again, so she couldn't help but secretly come to see him. Come up. Lin Yu's voice sounded. He suddenly thought that he could find someone to do things like memorials for him. Qiu Lingshan stuck out her tongue. She was overjoyed and immediately ran up. Lingshan, do you know how to... Before he finished speaking, he saw Qiu Lingshan already kneel down. That's not what I meant. Hiss. Lin Yu felt a little helpless. With a wave of his hand, the door to Sect Master Luo's main hall was immediately shut. When Qiu Lingshan heard this, she became even more excited. Mu residence. 6 hours later, Lin Yu walked out of the hall and returned to the Mu residence. Young master, have you gotten up? Mu Qingqing's voice sounded. I'm up. Lin Yu opened the door. Outside the bedroom, Mu Qingqing had already prepared breakfast. Not bad. Lin Yu praised her. He knew that although this girl was only 12 years old, she had been used to hardships since she was a child. That was why she had become a good cook. By the time Lin Yu was halfway through his meal, Mu Zhan had already arrived, looking pleased with himself. Master, you're up so early. Mu Zhan flattered Lin Yu a little. Seeing that Lin Yu was indifferent, he understood Lin Yu's temperament. He went straight to the point. I've already followed Master's instructions and passed your letter to my father-in-law. He's already agreed. Lin Yu smiled. Did you open the letter and read it yourself? No. Mu Zhan immediately shook his head. I've always remembered Master's words. Very good. Lin Yu nodded. Have you investigated the Earth ranking battle? Yes. Mu Zhan had already done his homework. Among the experts in this Earth ranking battle, there are two unfamiliar faces. One is called Yao Feng. He's a middle-aged man. It's said that he's already qualified for the Earth ranking. The other person is called Xiao Yinyan. She's a woman. After obtaining the Earth ranking, she's been hiding in an inn and hasn't come out. I'm guessing that young master, Si Junlin shows in person, is one of these two. Xiao Yinyan. Lin Yu frowned slightly. He vaguely guessed something. The others have already obtained the Earth ranking. Looks like I should give it a try. Lin Yu stood up. Master wants to obtain the Earth ranking personally, but that's Qin Dalong's territory. Mu Zhan frowned. Actually, Master doesn't need to go personally. I can obtain the Earth rankings qualification. Master can also participate in the Earth ranking battle. What's so fun about going through the back door? Lin Yu rejected. He had already arrived in front of a luxurious casino. This casino is much bigger than Nan Ruhong's. Lin Yu walked in. Mu Qingqing naturally followed him without hesitation. However, Mu Zhan hesitated. He raised his head and looked at the words Qianlong Casino. He felt helpless. In the end, he gritted his teeth and followed. The casino was bustling. No one noticed that Lin Yu had entered. However, Mu Zhan's old face was immediately recognized by the casino's guards. Go and inform the mansion master. Yes. Lin Yu directly looked at the bets on the different tables. Because the amount was too small, it didn't arouse his interest at all. However, Mu Qingqing's small hand were trembling. It was obviously her first time here. Isn't this mansion master Mu? Inside the gambling house, a path was suddenly opened up. A tall and sturdy old man walked out in a row under the protection of several people. He was wearing a lot of treasures. They were dazzling and made it hard for people to look at them directly. Mansion Master Qian. Mu Zhan clasped his fists awkwardly. Qian Dalong smiled coldly. Didn't you say that you would never step into my casino in this lifetime? Hearing that, Mu Zhan's old face darkened. I'm just here to accompany Master Lin to obtain the qualification. Mu Qingqing just realized that the two of them seemed to have a grudge. However, her father had never told her about this before. On the other hand, Lin Yu looked calm. He touched his chin and stood in a corner. It was as if there was something there that attracted him. Master Lin, Qian Dalong's gaze landed on Lin Yu. This is the top blacksmith in the inner district who has become famous recently, but has never shown his true face. Seeing that Lin Yu ignored him, Qian Dalong's fat face immediately darkened. Cough! Master. Mu Zhan came to Lin Yu's side and said in a low voice, Master, this is the head of the 8 prefectures, the mansion master of the Qian residence. Lin Yu responded casually and didn't even turn his head. The top blacksmith in the inner district. How arrogant. Why do I feel that this kid looks very young? Don't tell me he's only in his teens. Why is he a master in his teens? How dare he not give Qian Dalong face? This is the first time I've seen someone who doesn't give face to Qian Dalong in the 8 prefectures of wonders. Lin Yu was indifferent to these words. He only asked Mu Zhan, how do I obtain the qualification for the earth roll? After he finished speaking, Qian Dalong interrupted Mu Zhan before he could speak. You have no right to obtain the qualification for the earth roll. Mu Zhan's old face twitched. Qian Dalong, you can enter the earth roll as long as you have the glory bait. Are you trying to play tricks? Surrounded by his subordinates, Qian Dalong took a few steps forward. So what? I'm in charge here. If I say no, it means no. Chapter 266. You, Mu Zhan snorted. You and I work for the same master. Even if you don't give me face, are you not going to give face to the young master? Mu Zhan thought that Qian Dalong would hold back. However, Qian Dalong laughed in disdain. Old dog Mu, do you think I'm a fool? The young master's men have already been arranged. You should know where this Master Lin came from. After hearing that, Mu Zhan's hair stood on end. He was afraid that his betrayal of Si Junlin would be exposed. If Si Junlin were to blame him, wouldn't he be dead meat? Tell me, what conditions do you have to give me the qualifications? Lin Yu turned around and said. Lin Yu knew that Mu Zhan was useless. He was scared into silence with just a few words. Lin Yu felt helpless. Hee. It seems like Master Lin is an honest person. Qian Dalong sized up Lin Yu. He noticed that Lin Yu's aura was stable. He didn't seem to be afraid of being stared at by so many people. It was obvious that he was used to big scenes. It was a pity that Lin Yu's seemingly transcendent realm cultivation was seen through by Qian Dalong. He had already heard of the number 1 blacksmith master in the inner region. Regardless of whether it was true or not, Qian Dalong wouldn't test Lin Yu's blacksmithing skills. It's easy to obtain the qualifications for the Earth Board. You just have to challenge more than 5 rounds in the arena in the middle of my gambling den. Qian Dalong said in a deep voice. Mu Zhan looked towards the direction of the voice. He saw 2 unconscious people being carried down from the arena. Mu Zhan sensed the aura of one of them. He guessed that he wasn't far from death. As for the other person, he was no longer breathing. Master Lin, ignore him. Mu Zhan was afraid that Lin Yu would be tricked by Qian Dalong. If Lin Yu died, where would he find such a powerful helper in the future? Get lost if you're afraid. What master? You're just an undeserved reputation. That's right. The cross-level challenge isn't something that someone who only knows blacksmithing skills can participate in. What a joke. Mu Zhan snorted angrily. The Earth Leaderboard's advancement is a competition of smithing skills. You're asking a master to go up and compete in combat power. Tugging on Lin Yu's sleeve, Mu Zhan said softly, "It seems like Qian Dalong has long wanted to deal with us. I'm afraid we won't be able to obtain the qualifications to enter the Earth role this time. Why don't we go back first? As for the qualifications, I'll decide later." However, Lin Yu didn't seem to be listening to him. Instead, he raised his eyebrows at Qian Dalong. "Rules? Simple." Qian Dalong smiled proudly. It didn't matter if Lin Yu was a blacksmith master or not. With Lin Yu's transcendent realm aura, Qian Dalong was confident that he could let Lin Yu walk out of this place. The rules of this level skipping challenge are simple. The first level is naturally to fight from the same level. Judging from your aura, you should be in the Seven Suns Transcendent Realm. Then, we will start with the Seven Suns Transcendent Realm opponent. Seven Suns my ass. Mu Zhan was most afraid that Lin Yu would be provoked by Qian Dalong and die here. However, he didn't expect Qian Dalong to be more shameless than he imagined. This Master Lin clearly only has the aura of a Six Suns Transcendent Realm. "Qian Dalong, are you blind?" "It's fine." Lin Yu interrupted him and lifted his chin towards Qian Dalong. "Continue." Sure enough, he's still too young. Qian Dalong smiled. The second level is naturally to challenge the Eight Suns Transcendent Realm. The third level is the Nine Suns Transcendent Realm. As long as you can defeat an unyielding realm or two-in realm opponent, I'll give you the qualifications to enter the Earth role. "Master, it's too dangerous." The more Mu Qingqing listened, the more terrified she felt, especially when people were being carried down from the arena one after another. Obviously, there were no rules in that arena. "Master, bear with it for a while, and everything will be calm." Mu Zhan wanted to persuade Lin Yu again. "Why can't this kid be pulled away? Since it's a gambling house, there must be a bet, right?" Lin Yu said again. "You still want to win money?" Qian Dalong almost laughed out loud. "All right. My rule here is that if you win a level, your capital will be doubled." Lin Yu heard it and laughed in his heart. "I've been waiting for you to say that." He took a step forward and appeared on the arena. At this moment, a battle had just ended. The result was that two people died together. Double the capital. If he could challenge a few more people above his level, it would be a good opportunity to make a fortune. No wonder these people want to try even though they knew it was dangerous. Sigh. Mu Zhan let out a long sigh. Lin Yu's speed was too fast. He wanted to pull him back, but he couldn't. Savage Sword. Since this Master Lin wants to challenge a level above his level, you can play with him, Qian Dalong said. On the other side of the arena, a man with a scar on his face nodded and slowly walked up the arena. As soon as he stepped down, he held a 7-foot-long sword in his right hand. His body emitted a scorching aura, which immediately caused the temperature of the arena to rise rapidly. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He could see that Savage Sword's aura was concealed. It was obvious that he had used a few elixirs to suppress his aura by one level. This person's true combat power was at least in the Eight Suns Transcendent Realm. This was also the reason why gambling houses lost 9 out of 10 times. If one's eyesight was poor, they wouldn't be able to see through the tricks. At this moment, the crowd gradually became excited. The number 1 blacksmith in the inner region, whose name shook the 8 prefectures, is actually such a young man. I heard that his blacksmithing skills are extremely good. However, he still lost because of his impatience. He didn't know that he could challenge a level above his level here. At least 70 to 80 people would die in a day. As the saying goes, wealth comes from danger. If he could win a round, he would be doubling his capital. Who could resist such a great temptation? In the central area of Xian's sect, in the tallest and most luxurious hall, a young man stood with his hands behind his back. In front of him, a servant girl's clothes were torn apart. She was curled up on the ground and shivering. Sect Master, young Miss has already left Xian's sect. Another servant knelt there and said with fear, "Where did she go?" The young man's calm voice sounded. He wore a crown on his head and was dressed in luxurious clothes, showing his supreme status. Young Miss. Young Miss went to the place where the old sect master was in seclusion. After hearing that, The young man took a step forward and grabbed the servant girl's neck with one hand. He only felt that it was boring and shook his head. "You don't look like my sister at all." Crack! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The servant girl had already fallen to the ground and was motionless. In the previous moment, she was still seductive, but in the next moment, she was a cold corpse. "Si Xiaoxian, my good sister. It seems like you already know something." The young man smiled cruelly. His eyes were filled with endless strangeness. The servant behind him trembled. Sect master, Prefecture head Qian sent someone to pass on a message. He said that the number 1 blacksmith in the inner region that the Mu clan had announced is currently in his gambling house. The number 1 blacksmith in the inner region. The corner of Si Junlin's lips curled up. His murderous intent was obvious. Mu Zhan, that old bastard. In the end, he still doesn't agree with me and wants to cause trouble. Keep an eye on the gambling house. Send an order to Qian Dalong. Don't leave anyone alive. Chapter 267. After that, the servant was about to leave. "Hold on." Si Junlin's mysterious voice sounded. The servant felt a chill down his spine. He saw a trace of the Grand Supreme's power shoot out from Si Junlin's hand and hit his eardrums. "Ah!" The servant cried out in pain. However, he did not dare to delay and immediately ran out. "You heard something you shouldn't have. This is your punishment." Si Junlin slowly stepped onto the dragon throne. "The 8 residences of the celestial sect of wonders belong to me alone. On the arena of Qianlong's gambling den. Master Lin, how much do you want to bet for the cross-grade challenge?" "You can bet now." Qian Dalong shouted from afar. On the other side, Mu Zhan could already smell this old fox's smugness. "What a pity. Lin Yu, why are you so stubborn?" "Father, will young master be all right?" Mu Qingqing was also worried. "How can he be all right? It's already a miracle that he's still alive this time." Mu Zhan shook his head and thought about Lin Yu's death. Should he immediately release Shui Ruyu and then kneel down and beg for mercy from his father-in-law? "How much can you bet?" On the arena, Lin Yu asked innocently. He really did not know much about this. Lin Yu always thought that he was a person without luck. It was better to be down to earth. "Hee, bet as much as you can." Qian Dalong laughed coldly. He could not wait for Lin Yu to bet his life on this. "Is that really what the sect leader said?" He asked the servant behind him softly. When he turned around, he was stunned. "You, what's wrong with your ears?" But the servant could not hear him at all. He had already left the gambling den like a zombie. Seeing this, Qian Dalong could not help but feel a chill down his spine. It was not difficult for him to deduce that the servant was Si Junlin's man. And in the celestial sect of wonders, who would dare to hurt his man like this? It could only be Si Junlin himself. This Si Junlin, Qian Dalong shuddered. He really can't learn the old sect leader's piece. Sigh, but it's no wonder. But right now, they had to deal with Lin Yu first. On the stage, Lin Yu took out the obsidian bot from his storage ring. 100 million, 1 billion, 3 billion, 5 billion. In the beginning, it was still fine. But after that, the entire arena was almost unable to hold the dazzling bait. This is at least 10 billion, right? This Master Lin is way too rich. Even Mu Zhan and Mu Qingqing, who were slightly familiar with Lin Yu, were shocked at this moment. 10 billion baht. Even in the inner region, there weren't many people who could own 10 billion glory baht, right? You're going all out? Qian Dalong was so happy that his entire body was trembling. He immediately asked. Lin Yu nodded. "Men, take all of them." Pointing at Lin Yu, Qian Dalong laughed heartily and said, "Today, a distinguished guest has come to visit. I, Qian Dalong, will accept this year's skipping challenge." At the same time, he winked at Remnant Sword again. Remnant Sword immediately understood. In an instant, his eyes were filled with murderous intent, as if he wanted to swallow Lin Yu whole. He knew that if he lost and allowed Qian Dalong to take the 10 billion, he wouldn't be able to leave this place alive. "Let's begin." As Qian Dalong's voice fell, he seemed to have come to a consensus with Remnant Sword. At this moment, the Scarlet Sword in Remnant Sword's right hand had already swept towards Lin Yu. The scorching sword aura approached Lin Yu's neck. This move was a killer move to take Lin Yu's life. Remnant's sword has never left anyone alive when he attacks. It's a pity that the 10 billion glory bot went to Qian Dalong. How good would it be if he gave it to me? The rest of the people started to feel regretful. But before they could even blink, they saw a figure fly down from the arena. What fell down? Is that Lin Yu? In the same realm, he was defeated by Remnant's sword so quickly. Isn't this Master Lin too weak? Only the people on the other side of the arena could see the person on the ground. That was a corpse. Remnant's sword's corpse. The sword in his hand was broken, becoming a true Remnant sword. But what was worse was that he was already dead. How is this possible? The entire place was silent. Only Qian Dalong jumped up furiously and pointed at Lin Yu. You're not in the transcendent realm? You said it yourself whether I'm in the transcendent realm or not. Lin Yu smiled. After acting for so long, he could finally warm up. I won, Qian Dalong. You won't go back on your words, right? After Lin Yu said the second sentence, the others finally reacted. Damn, Master Lin won? I've seen people who won against those in the first level. After all, it's a battle of the same level. But isn't this victory too fast? I didn't even see the two of them fight. Only a few people stared at Lin Yu with lingering fear. In that instant, they saw with their own eyes that before Remnant's sword touched Lin Yu, his arm was broken by an afterimage along with his sword. The afterimage took the opportunity to punch Broken's sword in the chest. It was just a single move, but it was as smooth as flowing water. It was over in an instant. Most people only saw the outcome of the battle. Great, Master Lin did well. Mu Zhan reacted this time and smiled at Qian Dalong. The Qian residence is the head of the 8 residences. Brother Qian, you won't go back on your words, right? What a joke. Qian Dalong's face turned pale. He stared at Lin Yu and said, Good kid, I've fallen for your trick today. Men, take out the 20 billion Yao bot. He stared at Mu Zhan again. Old man Mu, it's only 10 billion Yao bot. I can afford to lose it. There's no need to take it out. Suddenly, Lin Yu's voice interrupted Qian Dalong's words. What do you mean? The others were stunned. Lin Yu continued, Just leave it there. I'll keep playing. He hadn't even finished warming up. If he stopped now, wouldn't it be a waste to bait Qian Dalong? Lin Yu, think carefully. The next one is an 8 Suns Transcendent Realm expert. After Qian Dalong finished speaking, Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. Don't waste time. Immediately after, a loud boom was heard. In the second round, the 8 Suns Transcendent Realm expert in the gambling house also died below the stage in an instant. Still, not many people saw how Lin Yu attacked. Continue to bet. Qian Dalong, send someone over. Lin Yu's voice reverberated. Thousands of people in the gambling house could feel it at the same time. This Lin Yu wanted to rip off Qian Dalong. Impossible, impossible. He only has the aura of 6 suns. I've already said one more realm on purpose. How did he defeat someone with a higher realm than him in an instant? Qian Dalong was in a bad mood. Go and find the most powerful transcendent realm experts. A stern voice resounded. On the other side of the stage, an even stronger person immediately came up. However, when this person saw Lin Yu, his legs were already trembling. 40 billion, challenging a 9 Suns transcendent realm expert. The voice sounded. Chapter 268. A blast of glory, chi exploded in the arena. Below the arena, there was another corpse. Impressive, decisive, and ruthless, not giving the opponent any chance. These people that Qian Dalong nurtured are all existences that kill people in the same realm like flies. There are at least dozens of people who have died in their hands, if not hundreds. But today, Qian Dalong kicked an iron plate. It's not just Qian Dalong. Look at those invincible realm. They don't even dare to go up. Lin Yu stood with his hands behind his back. 80 billion all in, challenging the one invincible realm. Below, Mu Zhan and Mu Qingqing were so happy that they couldn't speak. Mu Zhan wiped away the tears in his old eyes. The ups and downs of life come too quickly. But now, the one who wanted to cry the most was not him, but Qian Dalong. Damn it, I don't believe that kid is invincible in the same realm. and invincible in a higher realm. Attack! Qian Dalong ordered like a madman. But then, Lin Yu brought him despair again. 160 billion all in, challenging the 2 invincible realm. 320 billion all in, challenging the 3 invincible realm. 640 billion all in, challenging the 4 invincible realm. Rumble. The continuous battles had already caused the arena to be torn apart. Qian Dalong, casually stepping on a large rock. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. 28 billion glory bot and my earth roll qualifications. Hand them over. Qian Dalong's eyes were lifeless. His entire world had already split apart along with the arena. If you hesitate again, I'll continue fighting. Lin Yu spoke again. Only then did Qian Dalong regain his senses. Hand it over. Quickly hand over the earth roll qualification. At this moment, in the main hall of the celestial sect, a servant came to report again. Mansion Lord Qian, lost one. 28 billion glory bot to Lin Yu. What? Si Junlin felt a buzzing sound in his head. He suddenly stood up from the dragon throne. Damn it, what is that idiot doing? Without thinking about anything else, he instantly rushed out of the main hall. Inside the gambling den, Lin Yu played with the Earth leaderboard qualification token in his hand as he paced back and forth on the broken stage. Qian Dalong, where's my money? Lin Yu's voice rang out. At this moment, it was not only Lin Yu, but also thousands of people staring at Qian Dalong. I don't have that much glory bot in my casino. Qian Dalong stammered. It took him half an hour to bring out 200 billion dazzling bot. This was all he had. So that's how it is. Qian Long Gambling House can refuse to pay the Yao bot if they lose. Lin Yu smiled. Qian Dalong felt like dying. However, in the next moment, Lin Yu took away 200 billion glory bot. In fact, he knew how much glory bot there was. You still have a glory bot, don't you? Lin Yu said as he walked up to Qian Dalong. Master Lin, I really don't have any more. I've given you everything that my casino can give you. Qian Dalong immediately shook his head. If Lin Yu had come alone, he would have already killed him and put an end to it. But now there were so many people watching, and Lin Yu's previous actions were already known to everyone. How could he dare to touch Lin Yu? Where's Glorybot? Lin Yu said calmly. As soon as he said that, Qian Dalong's fat face trembled. How did you know? That's not something you should be concerned about now. Lin Yu lowered his head and looked at Qian Dalong's storage ring. The latter immediately retracted his hand. However, he was not as fast as Lin Yu. With a crack, the storage ring broke. Damn it, Lin Yu, that's not something you can touch. Qian Dalong was furious. Seeing that the storage ring had fallen into Lin Yu's hands, he wanted to snatch it back. However, Lin Yu kicked him in the face. Lin Yu landed back on the arena and smiled faintly. Don't you have the glory bot? He shook the storage ring, and another 300 billion glory bot flowed into Lin Yu's storage ring like a rainbow-colored river. Damn it, I'm finished. Qian Dalong rushed up like a madman. The glory bot was the savings that Si Junlin had transferred from the Xian sect over thousands of years to bribe the people from the other 8 prefectures and the Elders' Hall. There were also countless transactions that could not be completed with the glory bot. Now, it was all given to Lin Yu. Put down the storage ring, and I'll leave your corpse intact. Suddenly, outside the gambling house, 10 Grand Supreme auras descended with a loud rumble. The crowd immediately opened up a path for them. In other words, the people at the door were forcefully blown away by the 10 Grand Supreme auras. At the same time, a young man slowly stepped into the casino. His expression was cold as he stared at Lin Yu, as if he was staring at his prey. Do you not understand what I'm saying? Si Junlin. In an instant, the entire place was dead silent. The moment Si Junlin appeared, he was like the emperor of the Xian sect. In front of him, the crowd did not even dare to breathe loudly. Even Qian Dalong and Mu Zhan, the 2 senior prefectures, had serious expressions on their faces at this moment. They knelt down one after another. Greetings, Sect Master. The 2 of them bowed their heads at the same time. Ever since Si Junlin became the acting sect master, he did not allow anyone to address him as young master. Even though there were still 3 prefectures in the Elders' Hall who did not agree with Si Junlin, they could not do anything after the Black Heaven sect went into seclusion. Therefore, the title of sect master had been decided by Si Junlin. Without even looking at them, Si Junlin walked past the two of them and neared the arena. But when Lin Yu turned around and met his eyes, there was a flash of fear in Si Junlin's eyes. The Celestial Emperor. Other than Lin Yu, everyone else lowered their heads. They could not see the shock and fear on Si Junlin's face. Soon, he realized something was different. His hair is not white. Although his eyes are sharp, they're not vertical. Si Junlin thought to himself, but he did not dare to make things difficult for Lin Yu. "You are Master Lin?" Si Junlin softened his tone and asked. But none of his actions could escape Lin Yu's eyes. Lin Yu jumped down from the arena. "Were you very afraid of me just now?" Lin Yu's voice rang in Si Junlin's ears. The hair on his back stood on end. You are the Celestial Emperor?" As soon as he spoke, Si Junlin knew he had said something wrong. He could not take it back. Lin Yu smiled faintly. "No." Si Junlin's face darkened. He told himself that Lin Yu was just someone who looked like the person he feared. "Why, young Master Si, are you here to help Qian Dalong repay his debt?" Lin Yu pulled away and smiled. When this scene fell into the ears of Mu Zhan and the others, their foreheads started to sweat. But Qian Dalong was overjoyed. Lin Yu had tricked him, but he still dared to be so arrogant in front of Si Junlin. He was courting death. If he had never seen Lin Yu before, Si Junlin would have already given the order to attack. But now, there was something wrong with Lin Yu's appearance. Si Junlin felt that something was very wrong. "No, I was just passing by." Chapter 269. With that, Si Junlin turned around and walked out of the gambling den with his men. "No, that's not right, Sect Master." Qian Dalong wondered if he was dreaming. What was going on? What happened next? He stood up and chased after Si Junlin, but Si Junlin was nowhere to be seen. There's something wrong here. As the leader of the 8 prefectures, Qian Dalong knew Si Junlin's temper. While Black Heaven sect was in seclusion, Si Junlin had killed at least 800, if not 1,000. But now, Lin Yu was so arrogant, but he didn't do anything about it. "Well, you should return the money, right?" A voice came from behind. Qian Dalong turned around and saw Lin Yu's innocent gaze. His gaze was purely asking for money. But Qian Dalong still couldn't understand how he scared Si Junlin away. "Master, can you give me a few more days?" Qian Dalong gulped, his tone humble. He didn't expect that just a few hours ago, he was forcing Lin Yu to talk to him. But now, haha, Qian Dalong, do you even pay on credit in a gambling den? After Si Junlin left, Mu Zhan became bolder. He had been suppressed by the Shui and Qin families for a long time. Because of Lin Yu, Mu Zhan was very proud of himself. "I think you should close your gambling den. Even the sect master doesn't support you." Mu Zhan sneered again. It's clear who's right and who's wrong today. Qian Dalong was so angry that his face turned red. He thought that Lin Yu would continue to pressure him. But in the next moment, Lin Yu smiled casually. "Sure, I'll give you a few more days." After that, Lin Yu left the gambling den with Mu Qingqing. Only the 2 old foxes, Qian Dalong and Mu Zhan, were left in a daze. "Master Lin," Mu Zhan's face twitched. "This Master Lin, I really can't read you." It was getting late. Lin Yu returned to the Mu residence. But Mu Zhan came again. "Master, I have a secret letter for you." As he spoke, he handed over a sealed envelope. Lin Yu was stunned. He smelled the fragrance on the envelope. A letter from a woman? After Lin Yu finished reading the letter, he chuckled lightly. The black flames on his right hand ignited, and the letter was reduced to ashes. Mu Zhan was even more curious about what was written on it. But because of Lin Yu's ability, he didn't dare to ask directly. "You can leave for now, right? There's no need to pay attention to the matters of the Shui estate." Lin Yu pondered for a moment, then reminded him, "Don't go looking for trouble with Qian Dalong." Mu Zhan, who originally wanted to show off, immediately swallowed his words when he heard this. "Yes, Grandmaster, I understand." Mu Zhan left, and Mu Qingqing went to prepare dinner. Lin Yu recalled the words in the letter and let out a smile. He snuck out of the place when the people of the Mu clan were not paying attention. The Mu residence was backed by an uninhabited forest. Lin Yu purposely came here, and soon, several auras appeared behind him. One Grand Supreme and 4 invincible realms. Lin Yu's lips curled. The newcomers looked at each other. They covered their faces, clearly not wanting to be recognized by Lin Yu. You noticed this long ago? The Grand Supreme leading the group felt that something was wrong with Lin Yu and immediately asked. But what answered him was Lin Yu's calm gaze. 10 minutes later, the dragon's shadow dissipated, but more than half of the forest was destroyed. When the people of the Mu residence noticed the commotion, they only saw a few corpses on the ground. They were unrecognizable. Even the storage rings in their hands were gone. This is the aura of a Grand Supreme battle. I came immediately when I sensed it, but this battle ended so quickly. Mu Zhan and Mu Hai's expressions were solemn as they spoke. The Earth ranking battle is near. After the Earth ranking battle, it'll be time for the Elder Hall to change. Mu Zhan's old face grew even more solemn. That's also when the profound sect changes. A storm is coming. Mu Hai, don't spread this. Mu residence. When Lin Yu returned to his bedchamber, Si Xiaoxian was already waiting for him in his room. You went out? Si Xiaoxian's voice rang out, but Lin Yu could hear the sadness in it. I want to kill a few people. Lin Yu replied casually, then sized her up. You're in a bad mood? My condolences. Si Xiaoxian's delicate body trembled. She looked at Lin Yu with tears in her eyes. You already knew? She did not hear the first half of Lin Yu's sentence at all. If the letter had not warned him of the danger, Lin Yu might have been in trouble. I didn't see father. Si Xiaoxian lowered her slender eyelashes. But my instincts can't be wrong. Do you know why? Lin Yu did not answer her question directly. Instead, he sat beside her. I'm talking about the change in Si Junlin. If father really died in his hands, I'll kill him with my own hands. Si Xiaoxian gritted her teeth. For the first time in her mischievous ways, she had a fierce aura. She held Lin Yu's hand. Lin Yu, you're very resourceful. You know something else, don't you? The night gradually darkened. Lin Yu looked at this sad person and nodded. It's not appropriate for an outsider like me to tell you the other answers. Then who else can I look for? Si Xiaoxian's tears gushed out again. I'm useless. Si Junlin did so many things to seize power, but I didn't guess that something had happened to father. She blamed herself. However, Lin Yu had already walked out. Calm down first. An hour later, Lin Yu returned. All he saw was Si Xiaoxian's angry gaze. You're really not a normal man. Si Xiaoxian scolded. She heard very clearly that Lin Yu was having dinner with Mu Qingqing outside when she was at her lowest. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. He did not explain further. If you're feeling better, I'll take you to see someone. Ooh. Si Xiaoxian wiped away her tears. Someone who can tell you the answer. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he had already changed into his black clothes. Why didn't you tell me last time? Si Xiaoxian's pretty face was filled with anger. Last time, she had come in black clothes. Wasn't it just the right time to look for him? This time, she was wearing a proud young lady's outfit. How could it be convenient for her to sneak around? Change into mine. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he handed over a set of black clothes. I don't want yours. After saying that, Si Xiaoxian rummaged through her storage ring. Her expression became more and more serious. Oh no, I gave it to the maidservant to wash after I wore it last time. When she looked at Lin Yu, she saw that he had already put away his black clothes. I'll wear yours. Si Xiaoxian was a little embarrassed, but she still gritted her teeth and asked. Lin Yu shook his head helplessly and handed it over. He looked as if he was the one who was at a disadvantage. Si Xiaoxian took it awkwardly and put it on. Lin Yu had specially bought this set of clothes in the Night King city. It was a type of spiritual artifact that could be shrunk at will. The black clothes tightened, and Si Xiaoxian's hot figure was soon revealed. Why is this set of clothes? Si Xiaoxian sniffed. There's a smell. Chapter 270. Manly. Lin Yu didn't want to waste any more time. He opened the door. Si Xiaoxian didn't have time to think. She followed him. In the pitch-black night, the two of them, one in front and one behind, arrived outside a huge mansion. Qian Mansion. Si Shaoxian recognized it immediately. The leader of the 8 mansions. Who are you bringing me to? Qian Dalong. No, he's Si Junlin's man. Lin Yu smiled. But he's also a founding member of the Elder Hall. He knows everything. Hearing that, Si Shaoxian was impatient. She was one step ahead of Lin Yu. The interior of the Qian Mansion was much more luxurious than the Mu Mansion. However, the two of them weren't here. Si Shaoxian went straight to the bedroom. Wait. Lin Yu touched his chin and pointed in another direction. Qian Dalong should be there at this time. How do you know? Si Shaoxian didn't understand. You've been here before? You can say that. Lin Yu had played here for a few days during the 100,000 years he was trapped. He didn't give Si Shaoxian a chance to ask. The two of them had already arrived at the place Lin Yu pointed. A bathhouse? Si Shaoxian frowned. She could hear the sound of women's voices coming from the bathhouse. There were also Qian Dalong's pleasurable moans. Si Shaoxian blushed. She stared at Lin Yu sadly. Men know men best. The two of them were on the roof beam. Lin Yu almost fell when he heard that. Who is it? A grand supreme aura suddenly appeared in the bathhouse. Lin Yu and Si Shaoxian looked at each other. Si Shaoxian's face was pale. We've been discovered. What should we do? Did you do something wrong? Lin Yu asked. I didn't. Then what are you afraid of? After that, Lin Yu jumped down and kicked open the door of the bathhouse. Women, get out, Lin Yu said calmly. He flicked his nose with his right hand. There's a fishy smell. I'll go. When Si Shaoxian saw this scene, her mind went blank. This is so blatant? In the next moment, more than 10 women ran out, and the ground was soaked with water. Si Shaoxian was worried that something would happen to Lin Yu and Qian Dalong in the bathhouse, so she jumped in immediately. But as soon as she stepped in, she heard countless people surrounding this place. The Qian residence is the head of the 8 residences. The security here is not something the Mu residence can compare to. Frowning, Si Shaoxian quickly closed the door. Lin Yu, we've been surrounded. We need to leave quickly. She turned around and saw Qian Dalong kneeling on the ground, begging for mercy. Master, didn't you say that you would extend the deadline by a few days? Qian Dalong's painful voice could be heard. Si Shaoxian stepped forward and asked, What's going on? Me? Miss, why are you here? Qian Dalong put on his clothes and stared at Lin Yu with wide eyes. I understand now. Master Lin, you're Miss Man. Si Shaoxian wanted to nod, but Lin Yu said first, You're wrong. Qian Dalong was stunned. Miss is your man. I understand now. Master is indeed master. Si Shaoxian felt that something was wrong. But Lin Yu squatted down and looked at Qian Dalong at the same level as he said, Residence Chief Qian is indeed Residence Chief Qian. You owe me a huge debt, and you still have the mood to enjoy yourself here? Qian Dalong's face turned red. He immediately smiled at Lin Yu. I'm used to it. I'm indeed thinking of ways to raise money to repay Master. Cut the crap. I know how much glory bot the Qian residence has. Lin Yu knew that he had squeezed the Qian residence dry today. Unless Qian Dalong asked Si Junlin for glory bot, he would have trouble maintaining the Qian residence's expenses. Master. Upon hearing Lin Yu's words, Qian Dalong knelt down and hugged Lin Yu's leg. Master knows the Qian sect like the back of your hand. Please take pity on me. I really don't have any money left. This scene made Si Shaoxian started out life. Qian Dalong, the head of the 8 prefectures and the second to none in the Hall of Elders, was actually acting like this in front of Lin Yu? What happened between you two? Si Shaoxian had been in grief today. She was sure that she had missed something big. All right, we'll talk about Glorybot later. I'm here to ask you a question. Master, please speak. As long as Master is willing to be magnanimous this time, I will tell you everything I know. Lin Yu smiled. Can Residence Chief Qian tell me about Si Junlin's background? The sect master's background. Qian Dalong trembled. Master, the sect master is naturally the son of the previous sect master. What background could he have? Even Si Shaoxian was utterly confused at this moment. The corner of Lin Yu's mouth raised and said calmly, Residence Chief Qian, there are some things that I already know, but today I want to borrow your mouth to tell Si Shaoxian. Do you understand? You know? Qin Dalong stared at Lin Yu in disbelief. Impossible. This is the top secret of the Xian sect. Only a few of us old officials know about it. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Qin Dalong's eyes widened. Mu Zhan told you? Isn't that something you can ask? Lin Yu looked down at Qin Dalong. Also, tell your people outside to scram. You should be clear about my abilities. Yes, yes. Qin Dalong immediately ordered the guards outside to retreat. The moment Lin Yu entered, he exchanged a palm with Lin Yu. Only then did Qin Dalong realize how stupid he was during the day. Lin Yu's cultivation was actually stronger than his. When they were on the stage, Qin Dalong only treated Lin Yu as a weakling in the transcendent realm. Master, you really know about it? Lin Yu nodded. There has always been only one true successor of the Xian sect. This, Qin Dalong's old face turned solemn. But today Si Junlin is already out of control. Lin Yu smiled. Whether or not it can be controlled, it's up to me. You just have to say what you know. His gaze landed on Si Xiaoxian, and Qin Dalong cupped his fist solemnly. Miss, Si Junlin isn't your biological brother. What nonsense are you talking about? Si Xiaoxian's expression changed. How did she guess that this was the secret that Lin Yu wanted to tell her through Qin Dalong? This is indeed hard to accept. Qin Dalong sighed. When Si Junlin was young, I remember that he treated you and us, the old officials of the Xian sect, extremely well. Unfortunately, I'm guessing that before the Xian sect master went into seclusion, he sensed that he didn't have much time left. Hence, he told Si Junlin about this. Si Xiaoxian asked sternly, if it's true, father wouldn't have told Si Junlin. Qin Dalong shook his head and sighed again. The sect master probably has the intention of passing down the throne. After listening, Si Xiaoxian was extremely intelligent. How could she not understand the reason behind it? Mrs. Smart, you should be able to guess that if the sect master wanted Si Junlin to inherit the throne, everything that happened today wouldn't have happened. Si Xiaoxian took a step back. Father wants to pass the Xian sect to me. Chapter 271. After all, Si Junlin's background, Qin Dalong hesitated. However, there was no need for him to continue. Si Xiaoxian already understood. Thank you, Elder Qin. Si Xiaoxian cupped her fists, turned around, and walked out of the bathhouse. She stepped into the air. Lin Yu walked to the door, stopped, and asked, have you heard of Xiaoyin? Master, you're indeed a sentimental person. When Lin Yu heard that, he knew that he had asked the wrong person. However, Qin Dalong came closer and continued to smile excitedly. When I first saw Xiao Yinyin, she was wearing a veil. Although she's wearing a veil, this old man has had thousands of women. How could I not see that she's a stunning beauty? And then? Qin Dalong shook his head helplessly. Then it was a pity. I once sent someone to try and see her true appearance with a billion glory bot. However, Xiao Yinyin's maidservant rejected me several times. He looked regretful. I only saw her once on the day I received the Earth ranking qualification token. After that, I heard that Xiao Yinyin had been living in seclusion in an inn. No one has seen her again. Qin Dalong walked forward curiously and smiled flatteringly. If you're interested, Master, I could try to find her for you. Then, the debt, I'll go myself. Lin Yu walked out of the bathhouse and said, I'm richer than you. Lin Yu could not see the despair on Qin Dalong's face. In a moment, he had already caught up with Si Xiaoxian. Do you know the reason? Si Xiaoxian stopped and looked at Lin Yu with her reddened eyes. Father can pass the position to Si Junlin. That way, he might not be killed by Si Junlin, right? Yes. Lin Yu did not intend to hide it from her. But Black Heaven's sect won't do that. Why? Si Xiaoxian shook her head and tugged at Lin Yu's sleeve. If father is old and wants to give up the position, then he can take it. I've never thought of fighting with Si Junlin. Never. What belongs to you is yours. Lin Yu continued. Perhaps the Black Heaven sect saw Si Junlin's ambition and realized that he was not a suitable person. Reality has also proven that the hearts of the 8 prefectures are wavering, and he is indeed not a suitable person. Si Xiaoxian took a deep breath. The events of the past 2 days were enough to make a normal person collapse. The fact that you can still think calmly means that your abilities are above Si Junlin's. Your father didn't choose the wrong person. Lin Yu comforted him, right? After Si Shaoxian calmed down, she suddenly thought of something and patted her forehead. Lin Yu's heart skipped a beat. He was afraid that this girl would hit the table too hard like last time. If he smacked himself to death, what would happen to his 9 nether cold flame? Si Shaoxian pulled Lin Yu's hand. Tang Xin wants to see you. I know. Lin Yu sighed softly. The letter that warned him of the danger had come from Tang Xin. I'll take you there. Now, tomorrow is the Earth ranking battle. It's fine. Go quickly and come back quickly. Otherwise, it will be too late. After Si Shaoxian finished speaking, she hurriedly pulled Lin Yu toward the Celestial Sect's main hall. The main hall was separated from the 8 prefectures by the towering city walls. At this moment, Si Shaoxian was beside a dog hole on the city wall, trying to counsel Lin Yu. The main hall is protected by a formation. Once someone recklessly crosses the city wall, they will immediately be noticed by the guards inside. With a helpless expression, Si Shaoxian crawled in front of the dog hole, revealing a shocking posture and silhouette. This is the only weak point of the Celestial Sect's main hall. I spent many years to find it. Lin Yu, quickly follow me in. After she finished speaking, there was a rustling sound as she crawled. Lin Yu saw Si Shaoxian wiggling her, but as she entered, his face darkened. He stepped into the air and raised his right hand to grab the air. Immediately, a thin film of nothingness flashed in front of him. However, Lin Yu was even faster. The moment the thin film flashed, he had already disappeared into the city wall. Lin Yu stepped into the air and landed. Si Shaoxian's head just happened to come out. She bumped into Lin Yu's leg. Aya! Si Shaoxian's heart tightened, thinking that she had been discovered. However, when she raised her head, she saw Lin Yu's exquisite silhouette. You! Si Shaoxian shushed herself and hurriedly got up with a face full of dust. How did you get in? There's a flaw in your formation. Lin Yu raised his chin and said casually. You knew there was a flaw? Lin Yu nodded. Then why didn't you remind me? Si Shaoxian was furious. You crawled too fast. I couldn't stop you. Lin Yu said, where is Tang Xin? The disciples' bedroom, the elders' hall, or the guest hall? You, how are you so familiar with our Xian sect? Si Shaoxian's eyes widened. She found it hard to believe that Lin Yu was more familiar with the Xian sect than she was. In addition, he had dealt with the people from the 8 prefectures before and knew her father well. Si Shaoxian even felt that Lin Yu was the successor of the Xian sect. Cut the crap. Lin Yu glanced at her. We're thieves now. That's true, that's true. Si Shaoxian nodded in agreement. Tang Xin used to be in the disciples' bedroom. However, because of her special status, she has been arranged to be in the elders' hall, accompanied by several elders and servant girls. After Si Shaoxian finished speaking, Lin Yu had already disappeared. Slow down. It's dangerous here. Si Shaoxian suddenly came back to her senses. No, you're the thief. I'm going back to my own home. Outside the elders' hall, 2 black shadows swept across the night sky and instantly entered one of the boudoirs. Tang Xin had just finished bathing. The room was filled with fragrance and mist. Under the service of the servant girls, Tang Xin put on a simple nightgown and ordered, I'm tired. You can leave. Hearing this, the 2 servant girls looked at each other. One of them said, Then we'll stand guard outside. Junior sister, if you have any orders, you can call us. After speaking, the 2 of them left the room. Tang Xin sighed softly. On the surface, these 2 were here to serve her. But in reality, they were here to monitor her. I wonder if young master received the letter. Tang Xion's pure white face was filled with worry. She had painstakingly dragged out the letter. She had to give it to young master. At this moment, the night wind blew. Tang Xion's heart tightened. She immediately turned around. Young miss. Si Shaoxian, dressed in black, shushed her. I've brought you men. After speaking, Tang Xion's pupils contracted. She smiled. Young master, you guys talk. I'll go keep watch. Si Shaoxian tactfully flew out of the window. Only Lin Yu and Tang Xin were left in the room. Young master. Her bright eyes fell on Lin Yu. It was as if the longing that she had been suppressing all this time had exploded at this moment. Tang Xin walked gracefully towards Lin Yu. Her jade-like hands wrapped around Lin Yu's strong waist. Her charming face was close to his. I'm sorry. Tang Xin didn't mean to put young master in danger. I just wanted to see young master again. Chapter 272. A gentle voice came. Smelling the fragrance of the person at the tip of his nose, Lin Yu smiled knowingly. The clothes are nice. Hearing this, Tang Xin subconsciously lowered her head and let out an ah. She quickly turned her back on Lin Yu. Tang Xin has lost her composure. She hurriedly tidied up her nightgown. When she turned around, her pretty face was already flushed. You must be joking. It's fine. Since you've come to the inner area, where are the others? I left them at the Mu residence. Lin Yu thought about the destroyer Heaven and Earth staff in his bedroom. Mu residence? Tang Xin was surprised. There are so many people from the low-key sect. I'm afraid the Mu residence can't accommodate them. She pondered. You didn't bring everyone from the low-key sect? Well, Lin Yu thought it was a long story and changed the topic. Let's talk about you. Tang Xin lowered her head. Young master, I'm getting married soon. Her heartbeat quickened. She didn't know why, but she felt guilty talking about this in front of Lin Yu. Do you like Zhonglingyi? Lin Yu's voice sounded. Tang Xin shook her head immediately. She was afraid that Lin Yu would misunderstand. She held his hand. I shouldn't say this, but my heart has already been given to you. It's just that. Her face was full of bitterness. The Xian sect has already agreed to the Bodhi sect. Zhonglingyi and the others know that Tang Xin is unwilling, so they use the dragon sealing city of the 9 luminaries to threaten me. Tang Xin hugged Lin Yu again. Young master, did I do something wrong? Lin Yu sighed softly. Even though he was a little weak, he could still hear the girl's heartbeat. You didn't do anything wrong. You did well. Lin Yu knew that it was useless to say more. He changed the topic. How did you know that someone wanted to harm me? Tang Xin exhaled a breath of fragrance and felt relieved. Young master, did you see the letter? Lin Yu nodded. Since you're here, it won't be easy for you to send things out. Thank you for your hard work. Tang Xin shook her head. Tang Xin found out from the elders that a Grand Supreme Master had gone to the main hall. I was worried about you, so I sent a letter to warn you. Now that young master is safe and sound, Tang Xin is relieved. Is it Si Junlin's men? Lin Yu asked. Tang Xin nodded with a disappointed look in her eyes. I thought that I would be able to cultivate properly after coming to this quasi-emperor level sect and catch up to you in the future. However, I didn't expect the ruler here, Si Junlin, to have such a strange temper. Every day, I hear that a servant girl died in Si Junlin's palace. Tang Xin was afraid that she would offend him, so when she was cultivating in the past, she tried her best to stay away from the sect leader's hall. But she never thought that she would still bump into Zhonglingyi. She wanted to tell Lin Yu that there was no real relationship between her and Zhonglingyi. However, he was worried that Lin Yu would be in danger if he stayed here for too long. As soon as he thought of this, he heard Si Xiaoxian's voice outside the window. Let's go, someone's coming. Tang Xion's heart was in her mouth. Young master, let's go. She pushed Lin Yu away. The latter frowned slightly as he sensed the arrival of 9 Grand Supreme auras. When are you getting married? Lin Yu stepped on the window and asked. Tang Xion was delighted when she heard this. In a month's time, she said. As the Grand Supreme auras descended, Lin Yu could not react in time and was dragged away by Si Xiaoxian. Young master. As she watched Lin Yu's figure gradually disappear into the distance, a dagger suddenly appeared in Tang Xion's hand. As long as I know that young master is safe, Tang Xion will have no more regrets. Tang Xin raised her head as tears streamed down her face. The cold voices of the 2 servant girls came from outside the door. Junior sister Tang, it's time to get ready to leave. Tang Xin raised the dagger and closed her eyes. However, with a bang, the 2 servant girls broke through the door. One knocked the dagger away while the other knocked Tang Xin unconscious. I knew this brat was up to no good. I almost ruined it. Senior sister, you're so quick to react. On the other side, Lin Yu and Si Xiaoxian soared into the sky. They did not have time to look for the original dog hole. They rushed out of the main hall directly from the sky. I'm Si Xiaoxian. What are you doing? Si Xiaoxian shouted angrily as she revealed her identity. Kill without mercy. The 9 people showed no mercy. All of their grand supreme auras were unleashed. 9 huge golden bodies rose from the ground and attacked Si Xiaoxian and Lin Yu with all their might. The Asters starred. I'm Si Xiaoxian. Si Xiaoxian was burning with anger. She wanted to attack, but under the attack of the 9 terrifying golden bodies, her grand supreme aura was shattered instantly. Puffed. Si Xiaoxian spat out a mouthful of blood and kept retreating. However, she saw Lin Yu hiding in a corner sneakily. Lin Yu, if your fake golden bodies don't attack, we'll die here. However, Lin Yu still turned a deaf ear to her. He touched his chin and his eyes lit up. Found it. He made a hand seal and a formation appeared on the old tree in front of him. At the same time, Si Xiaoxian crashed down beside Lin Yu. With a bang, the gravel on the ground rolled. Si Xiaoxian got up with a painful expression. She saw the golden light in the sky, shining brightly. Then 9 golden bodies rushed down instantly. Lin Yu. As soon as Si Xiaoxian's voice fell, she disappeared on the spot. Rumble. 9 figures descended from the sky. Damn it. She got away. We didn't do the task given to us by the sect leader. This is bad. Forget it. We don't have much time. Let's send her away first. Outside the Mu residence, Lin Yu and Si Xiaoxian's figures appeared from the formation. Phew, we were almost left behind. Lin Yu exhaled. He saw Si Xiaoxian looking at him sadly. How did you know there was a formation there? How can I not have a defensive skill when I travel the world? Lin Yu answered casually. The next moment, Si Xiaoxian spat out another mouthful of blood. Bad guy. If you had found out earlier, I wouldn't have been hurt. Si Xiaoxian looked dispirited as she lay in Lin Yu's arms. The latter was helpless. The outside of the profound gate seemed to have been repaired, so he had to spend more time. However, Si Xiaoxian had bought him a lot of time. Lin Yu placed the unconscious Si Xiaoxian on his bed and took out a large amount of dazzling bot. The true sun fire burned and refined the essence of dazzling bot into Si Xiaoxian's stomach. Si Xiaoxian opened her eyes slightly. In her daze, she saw Lin Yu focused on healing her. No wonder. Tang Xin likes you. Si Xiaoxian murmured and fainted. After treating his injuries, Lin Yu no longer bothered with Si Xiaoxian. But at this moment, a strange wind suddenly blew the door open. Lin Yu frowned slightly. A piece of paper flew into the room and landed in Lin Yu's hand. The fragrant Lotus Pavilion awaits your arrival. The words below were reflected in Lin Yu's eyes. He rubbed his forehead. Xiao Yin Yin, it seems like I'm not going to sleep tonight. Seeing that Si Xiaoxian was fine, Lin Yu set up a formation and left the Mu residence. Chapter 273. Elegant Lotus Pavilion. Lin Yu arrived from afar. 2 maids were already waiting for him at the door. Welcome, young Master Lin. The maids bowed. Lin Yu observed their clothes, aura, and manner of speaking. He immediately had an answer. Where is she? The maids were stunned. One of them answered, Master is waiting for young Master upstairs. Lin Yu walked up the stairs. In the silent darkness, his footsteps echoed clearly in his ears. The higher he went, the more he smelled a fragrance. Quiet night fragrance. Lin Yu took a deep breath. His consciousness immediately went into a trance. Very fragrant. He continued up and saw the flickering light of obsidian fire. Miss Xiao invited me here, but you're avoiding me. What's your intention? I'll be bathing behind this curtain. Young master, please come in. A voice that was numbing to his bones sounded. Lin Yu smiled. He walked forward and went around one curtain after another. Then he heard the sound of water bathing. Gentle Village, Hero's Mound. Miss, please take it easy. If you continue playing, Lin Yu won't be able to hold back. Lifting the last curtain, Lin Yu saw a bathing pool covered in fresh flowers. Lin Yu took a step forward. He heard the sound of water splashing. A snow-white back floated up from the water. Her wet hair fell to her Huiyang acupoint. Lin Yu sat beside the bathing pool. He admired the beauty in front of him with great interest. Gentle Village, Hero's Mound. When I entered the 8 Mansions of Wonders, I heard that young Master was the #1 blacksmith in the inner region. I didn't expect young Master to have such literary talent. Xiao Yinyin slowly stepped out of the water. Her jade-like feet left wet footprints. Her back was facing Lin Yu the whole time. She wore a simple jacket. Lin Yu heard that slightly bitter but bone-chilling voice again. It's a pity that you're not as good as your reputation says. Young Master's literary talent is unparalleled, but you're a cold piece of wood. Why do you say that? Lin Yu scooped up a small petal from the pool with his right hand and quietly crushed it. Xiao Yinyin's back was facing him, so she couldn't see Lin Yu's actions. This servant has waited bitterly for a long time, but after young Master came in, he gave this servant the cold shoulder in every possible way. Even now, he is still unwilling to come over and hug me. If he is not a blockhead, then what is he? I'm not in good health. The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. You have the remote night fragrance and the duckweed flower. Aren't you afraid that I won't come to the Earth Board tournament when the sun rises? Snorting softly, Xiao Yinyin smiled faintly and said, I didn't expect young Master to be such a coward. You made me sad. All right. Lin Yu was a little impatient. Charming Yin Xiao Xiao, I've already given you face. Shouldn't we talk about something serious? The woman in front of him was stunned. She turned around and saw that it was none other than the demoness of the Bliss Life sect who had fought with Si Xiaoxian under the Wind Moon Tree. Yin Xiao Xiao. Well done, Lin Yu. Yin Xiao Xiao bit her lips and revealed a sad look. You actually went to see Xiaoxian first before coming to me. I treated you as a friend in vain. Didn't you come here by yourself? Lin Yu shrugged. But at least you still have a conscience and can recognize me. That's because I know your body. Lin Yu blurted out, causing Yin Xiao Xiao's face to turn red. You're just talking nonsense. Do you really not dare to do it? I don't dare. As soon as Lin Yu finished speaking, his 5 fingers formed into a claw and a majestic suction force splashed water everywhere. Yin Xiao Xiao wanted to resist, but the only piece of clothing on her body was sucked away by Lin Yu at this moment. As Yin Xiao Xiao screamed, she felt a strong arm holding her tightly by her waist. Bastard, I don't believe you dare. Yin Xiao Xiao's pretty face showed fear for the first time, but she still wanted to be brave. But the next moment, Lin Yu's arm exerted force, and the two of them were pulled back at the same time. With a splash, they fell into the water. Mist rose, and Yin Xiao Xiao couldn't break free from Lin Yu. Finally, she begged for mercy. I was wrong. Let me go. Do you think I can hold it in? Lin Yu smiled. Yin Xiao Xiao immediately sensed something, and her heart couldn't help but beat faster. But the next moment, Lin Yu let go of her. Seeing this, Yin Xiao Xiao quickly distanced herself, but her breathing was still rapid. No, this is the effect of the Silent Night incense. Yin Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yu in surprise. Bastard, you poisoned me. Didn't you try it on me first? Lin Yu shrugged and leaned against the side of the pool. He hadn't bathed for a long time. Humph. Yin Xiao Xiao gritted her teeth and immediately took a few antidotes. I didn't expect you to be so good at everything. Forging, composing poems, and now you're even better at using poison than me. I'm so angry. Enough fun. Let's get to the point. The sky gradually brightened, and Lin Yu closed his eyes. It's quite comfortable here. How can it not be comfortable when I'm bathing with you? Feeling wronged, Yin Xiao Xiao snorted. I called you here because I have something fun to tell you. I think you should be interested in it. But I didn't expect you to treat me like this. Don't add unnecessary emotions, just say it. Lin Yu's voice came. Knowing that her charm couldn't move this guy, Yin Xiao Xiao gave up in disappointment. All right, do you know that Bodhi sect and Xin sect are about to have a marriage alliance? Yes. Lin Yu thought of Tang Xin. I wasn't interested in this at first. After all, I don't want to get married in the future. No man can take me in, Yin Xiao Xiao said proudly. She then continued, however, I heard something interesting. Madame Beauty didn't agree to the marriage at the beginning. After all, She thought that her son, Zhang Lingyi, had the potential to be a great emperor. That Tang Xian was just a female disciple of the Xin sect. How could she be worthy of her son? Then why did she agree? Lin Yu learned about this from Yin Xiaoxiao. Now that he thought about it, Madame Bodhi should have refused. But he thought that it was the result of Zhang Lingyi's coaxing. But now it seemed that there was another story behind it. You can't guess, can you? Yin Xiaoxiao smiled proudly. Have you heard of the mutated blood battle body? Lin Yu's eyes widened. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Go on. I'm better at this kind of insider stuff than you are. Yin Xiaoxiao continued. Madame Bodhi secretly got Tang Xian's birth characters, and she saw Tang Xian with her own eyes. That's why she agreed to Zhang Lingyi's proposal. I felt that something was wrong, so I went to investigate it. If that old woman, Madame Bodhi, could do it, how could it be hard for me? Yin Xiaoxiao approached Lin Yu with a smug look. Tang Xian has the mutated blood battle body. It said that she was born to cultivate a battle body. How could I have overlooked this? Lin Yu thought. Yin Xiaoxiao was surprised. You knew that Tang Xian had the mutated blood battle body. Chapter 274. Luckily, there's still a month's time. Lin Yu heaved a sigh of relief. What month's time? Yin Xiaoxiao looked at him in confusion. The wedding is today. Tang Xian should be on her way to the Bodhi sect by now. What? Lin Yu frowned slightly. Only now did he realize that Tang Xian had tricked him. I'm not done yet. Hey, where are you going? Yin Xiaoxiao found it strange. Lin Yu jumped out of the water in a hurry. His glory aura instantly evaporated the water on his body. Madame Bodhi wants to use Tang Xian's mutant blood battle body as a sacrifice to absorb the uncontrollable Bodhi's heart. As soon as Lin Yu finished his words, he disappeared from sight. That's impressive. He guessed it right away. Yin Xiaoxiao stretched and looked down at Lin Yu's back. A few days ago, Zhang Lingyi went to the outer realm to kill you. I thought he was being petty. Looks like you and Tang Xian have a special relationship. Their relationship is not ordinary. Yin Xiaoxiao frowned. Come up and help me change. We should go to the Earth ranking battle. Mu residence. When Lin Yu returned, Mu Zhan and the others were already waiting for him. Master, Mu Zhan was stunned. You're not in your room? I went out to do something tonight. Lin Yu answered casually and pushed open the door. Wait for me here. Yes. Mu Zhan nodded. Lin Yu entered his room. Si Xiaoxian was already awake. She was sitting cross-legged on his bed, healing her injuries. His complexion didn't seem to be in too much danger. You're back. Si Xiaoxian opened her eyes slightly and looked at Lin Yu gratefully. Tang Xian's wedding is today? Lin Yu suddenly asked. Si Xiaoxian was stunned. How did you know? She continued to explain. Tang Xian didn't want me to tell you. In fact, not many people know about this. After all, in terms of status, she was only a female disciple. It was not to the point where the celestial sect of wonders needed to make such a big fuss. Of course, the Bodhi sect will definitely arrange a huge banquet. You two idiots. Lin Yu rubbed his temples. Now that the Earth List battle and the wedding were going on at the same time, he couldn't do anything else. Don't be angry. Si Xiaoxian saw that Lin Yu was distressed, so she immediately explained. Tang Xian had already confessed her feelings to you last night, right? Lin Yu knew that the girl and Tang Xian had a good relationship, so he nodded in agreement. She said that it was her only wish. She only wanted to see you. Si Xiaoxian sighed softly. After all, it's a marriage between two quasi-emperor level sections. Even if she's unwilling, what can she do? If you had told me earlier, it wouldn't have been difficult to save her. Lin Yu felt a little helpless. You have a way? Si Xiaoxian remembered that 2 of the 8 prefectures were now under Lin Yu's control. He could still help her escape from the 9 Grand Supreme experts like last night. Yeah, you're so powerful. You must have a way. Si Xiaoxian patted her head. Tang Xian has always wanted you to be safe. I've been fooling around with her. What should we do now? Let's split up. Lin Yu had no choice but to do so. Split up? You want me to save Tang Xian? Si Xiaoxian's first thought was that Lin Yu wanted to participate in the Earth List battle, so she had to go. You can't. Lin Yu glanced at her. I'm guessing that at least half of the Grand Supreme experts from yesterday brought Tang Xian to the Bodhi sect. Lin Yu didn't explain to Si Shaoxian about the mutated blood battle constitution. However, the situation was indeed more complicated now. Then where did you get the soldiers? Si Shaoxian didn't understand, but she saw Lin Yu pick up a rod. He leaned close to the rod and said a few words. Why are you kissing the rod? Si Shaoxian was puzzled. Don't worry about it. Lin Yu let go of the rod. Then the door opened and the annihilating heaven and earth staff shot through the air. Master, is that Master's divine weapon? Where's the divine weapon going? In the blink of an eye, the people outside saw the annihilating heaven and earth staff shrink and disappear into the sky. Your rod can move on its own? Si Shaoxian was dumbfounded. However, when the words came out of her mouth, she felt a little weird. Ahem, let's go. Lin Yu walked out of the bedroom, and Si Shaoxian followed him. Mu Zhan was shocked again. Young mistress. Mu Zhan quickly knelt down. The rest of the Mu clan recognized Si Shaoxian and greeted her. Rise. Si Shaoxian smiled at Lin Yu proudly. See, I have a high status in the 8 mansions of the celestial sect. Lin Yu asked innocently, what happened when you were beaten up by the 9 grand elders yesterday? Si Shaoxian's blood boiled when she heard that. She almost spat out another mouthful of blood. Si Junlin wanted to kill me. I could tell. Si Shaoxian's beautiful eyes flashed with killing intent. Even if the celestial sect doesn't have a blood relationship with him, they still raised him. Although the 9 grand elders said they wanted to kill you, they didn't really kill you. Lin Yu couldn't help but recall. If Si Shaoxian hadn't pulled him away yesterday, he would have seen the expression on Tang Xian's face and seen through her lies. With his ability, he could have taken Tang Xian away. However, at the last moment, he heard Tang Xian say that it would be a month later. He didn't have time to care about anything else. You're saying that the Supreme Protector showed mercy to me? Si Shaoxian's mood suddenly improved. Lin Yu shook his head. Of course not. I think they want to keep you alive and give you to Si Junlin. Give. Si Shaoxian's pretty face darkened. Since they aren't related by blood, it's best to have a child with the celestial sect's orthodox bloodline if something serious happens. Lin Yu knew Si Junlin well. He was an extreme and stubborn person. Do you think he'll do it? In his dreams, Si Shaoxian left angrily. Mu Zhan saw the two whispering back and forth. He couldn't help but ask curiously, Master, did this young lady spend the night at your place last night? This was an explosive piece of news. I went out yesterday. I'm not sure. Lin Yu couldn't be bothered with him. He looked in the direction the extinguishing heaven and earth staff left. We should be able to catch up with her if we use the teleportation formation. However, if the Bodhi sect interferes, they won't be able to solve this problem. He had to solve this problem quickly. After Lin Yu made up his mind, everyone went to the Earth Board battle venue. The place was already bustling with people. Countless people from the 8 prefectures of the Celestial Sect of Wonders had gathered here. Lin Yu saw people from the Shui and Qian family. The 2 groups of people were led by Mu Zhan's father-in-law and Qian Daolong. When the 2 saw Lin Yu, they were very respectful. However, due to the serious situation of the 8 prefectures, they didn't dare to come up and greet him. Otherwise, how could Qian Daolong not come up when he owed so much money to Lin Yu? Chapter 275. Outside the 8 prefectures, there were 2 other places that people were looking at. One of them was a middle-aged man in a black shirt. He was surrounded by many people, and he had a fierce aura. Brother Yao Feng, I bet a lot of money on you for today's battle. You've made a fortune. Yao Feng smiled coldly. Brother Yao Feng, I heard that the Mu family has the best blacksmith in the Inner District. Together with the mysterious beauty Xiao Yinyan, they are popular candidates for this battle. He's fishing for fame. Yao Feng looked in the direction where Lin Yu had come from. It takes at least 20 years of hard work to forge weapons. He's only in his teens, but he's so arrogant that he claims to be the best blacksmith in the Inner District. Yao Feng looked to the other side. Xiao Yinyan was wearing a veil, and her face could not be seen clearly. However, from her curvy figure, it was not hard to tell that she was still in her prime. He's not that good. Yao Feng did not look at anyone. He just closed his eyes and gave off a mysterious vibe. On the other side, Xiao Yinyan was being stared at by many men. She was keeping a distance from them. Qian Dalong and the others wanted to go forward. However, when they remembered that they were bankrupt, their footsteps became heavy. However, the crowd saw her walking toward Lin Yu. Master, today's battle will be divided into two parts. The first part will be fighting, and the second part will be forging weapons. Mu Zhan explained the rules to Lin Yu. Master left in a hurry this morning. I felt so lonely when I woke up. Xiao Yinyan walked toward Lin Yu and bowed. This mysterious beauty, Xiao Yinyan, actually greeted Lin Yu. She took the initiative. I don't know how many people had tried to meet Xiao Yinyan, but none succeeded. She left in a hurry this morning. Master Lin, you're the one who stole my wife. The crowd was in a mess. Mu Zhan, who was standing beside Lin Yu, was stunned. He could not find the words to say. However, Si Xiaoxian and Lin Yu's faces darkened even more. Si Xiaoxian, in particular, thought that Lin Yu had gone out to do something serious when he woke up this morning. So you left me alone last night to find another woman? Si Xiaoxian looked at Lin Yu sadly. But as soon as the words left his mouth, he felt that something was wrong. Sensing the tension in the air, Mu Zhan sensibly retreated. Master, you're on your own now. Lin Yu's face twitched. Don't mess around. I'm in a hurry to get to the Bodhi sect. Well done, Lin Yu. Xiao Yinyan's tone was full of resentment. You're eating from the bowl and looking at the pot, yet you're still thinking about someone else. Lin Yu looked helpless. However, the surrounding men all looked at her with envy and jealousy. Three. Master Lin actually has a relationship with three beauties like Xiao Yinyan at the same time? What kind of luck is this? However, Si Xiaoxian's expression changed drastically as she stared at Xiao Yinyan in surprise. Yin Xiao, it's you. Her words immediately attracted the attention of everyone from the 8 mansions of wonders. Why is young mistress in the crowd of the Mu residence? I saw young mistress following Master Lin the entire time. I understand now. The Mu residence was originally supporting Si Junlin, but now they've changed their stance. This must be the effect of Master Lin adding fuel to the fire. Master Lin is young mistress's man? The leaders of the 8 mansions of wonders kept speculating. After all, the situation in the Xian sect had reached the point where they had to choose a side. However, only Qian Dalong knew that Lin Yu was not young mistress's man. Young mistress was Lin Yu's man. He smiled proudly as he suddenly felt more confident than the others. This Master Lin can scare the young master away. Now that he has young mistress, I'm afraid his future will be even brighter. Qian Dalong thought as he waved to the people behind him. Arrange for everyone to make way for Master Lin. However, when Qian Dalong saw Xiao Yinyan taking the initiative to greet Lin Yu, he felt like dying again. Is this the benefit of being young? On the other side, Yin Xiao did not hide her identity anymore. Why? Young Master Lin left you behind to look for me last night. Are you very angry? You. Si Xiaoxian was furious. Her face turned red. You're shameless. Even if I'm shameless, I'll anger you to death. Yin Xiao took a step forward and whispered in Si Xiaoxian's ear. Yesterday, I was fighting with young master in the water. You guys. Si Xiaoxian gritted her teeth. However, Lin Yu's voice could still be heard. Enough. After hearing that, Yin Xiao smiled. She knew Lin Yu's temper. She bowed and returned to her group of maidservants. Lin Yu, you're so bad. Si Xiaoxian pouted and did not say anything. Seeing that the situation had calmed down, Mu Zhan immediately went up to Lin Yu to explain the rules. All of a sudden, 5 auras descended from the sky. The Earth-ranking battle was a huge arena. At the front of the arena was a 1,000-step high platform. At this moment, Si Junlin was on the high platform, looking down at everyone like an invincible emperor. Behind him, there were 4 Grand Supreme auras. They were also looking down angrily. The Earth-ranking battle begins. Si Junlin sat down. One of the Grand Supreme experts announced. Many people below looked at each other. How are we going to fight? Are there no rules? Only a few people know the rules of the Earth ranking. Young Master is being too hasty. However, soon, a middle-aged man stepped into the air. Let me be the first battle. The man cupped his fists in all directions. Xiao Fu of the 8th Mansion, please enlighten me. On the other side of the Earth ranking square, another man stepped into the air. Sita Mansion, Situ Shan. Please enlighten me. The battle was about to begin. Mu Zhan was analyzing the situation below. However, Lin Yu noticed that Si Junlin's gaze was on him. He's looking at you. Lin Yu reminded Si Xiaoxian. Si Xiaoxian also stared at Si Junlin. I feel like he's a stranger now. These two fake siblings looked at each other. For the first time, there was killing intent in their eyes. Unknowingly, it had become a life and death situation. Lin Yu, are you confident that you can win today? Si Xiaoxian asked softly. Too slow. What? Si Xiaoxian did not understand what Lin Yu meant. However, in the next moment, he saw Lin Yu stepping into the air. Master, I think it's easier for us to go last. Those who went up at the beginning have no chance. Mu Zhan said to himself. He turned around. Hey, Master, where are you going? Before he could persuade him, Lin Yu had already stepped into the arena. What are you doing? We're not done yet. That's right. You're the Mu Mansion's #1 blacksmith in the Inner District. The first round of the Earth ranking is a battle. It's not your turn to show off. Xiao Fu and Situ Shang scolded one after another. I'm in a hurry. Lin Yu stepped down. The Tao of Yin and Yang suddenly erupted. The entire square was shrouded in a scorching and icy aura. Come at me together. Chapter 276. You're too arrogant. Xiao Fu and Situ Shang felt that Lin Yu was too domineering and embarrassed. They gritted their teeth and immediately attacked to kill Lin Yu. Both of them had the battle prowess of the unshakable realm, but the moment they attacked, a cold aura spread out from the ground. As he transcended or reached the invincible stage, both of them were shocked. How could someone have both cold and burning chi at the same time? However, the chill under their feet was too fast and had already slowed them down. Damn it, even if you have cold chi, it's not as strong as ours. The two of them immediately activated their cultivation, but at that moment, two black flames formed a spear in the air. It was the Tao technique of Shumi Supreme. The tip of the spear shot out instantly, and its speed was beyond the two's understanding. Their movement techniques were delayed by the chill for a moment. It was just a moment. The black flame spear had already pierced through the two. Dead. The whole place was dead silent. It's over. Master Lin, isn't he a blacksmith? How can he have such powerful combat strength? They looked at the two corpses that had been burned into charcoal by the black flames. Even Mu Zhan and Si Xiaoxian were shocked. Both of them were at the Grand Supreme stage, but they were also impressed by Lin Yu's perfect combat skills. He has both Yin and Yang Qi, and he can attack at the same time. During the battle, his coordination is perfect. Young mistress, the two of them could have blocked this move, but it's because of the chill. Si Xiaoxian and Mu Zhan said one after another. This is a real battle. A single mistake is a matter of life and death. Si Xiaoxian sighed. It seemed to be Lin Yu's battle, but she felt that Lin Yu had taught her a lesson. Anyone else? A domineering voice sounded. Lin Yu didn't look at anyone, but everyone was looking at him. For a long time, no one came up. There are a total of 30 participants this time. Come up quickly, or you'll be eliminated. The Grand Supreme Stage expert next to Si Junlin in the seat of honor shouted. Qian Dalong blinked. Immediately, one of his men stepped onto the stage. But before Lin Yu could make a move, the man was already kneeling on the ground. I surrender. The people from the Mu clan and the Shui clan were not to be outdone. Following that, 7 or 8 people came up one after another, and all of them began to surrender as soon as they came up. Lin Yu didn't even have a chance to make a move. When he saw the flattering looks of Qian Dalong, Mu Zhan, and the others, he knew what was going on. Seeing this, Yao Feng's forehead was covered in sweat. He hoped that no one would notice him. Big brother Yao Feng, this Lin Yu is too arrogant. Hurry up and teach him a lesson. That's right. He's looking down on the other participants. Does he really think that our big brother Evil Wind is a pushover? Yao Feng's face twitched. He would rather die than say a word. On the other side, Yin Xiaoxiao's beautiful eyes also fell on Lin Yu. Too handsome. However, Si Junlin, who was seated at the head of the table, had a gloomy expression on his face. Sect Master, is there a problem with Qian Dalong? There's also the Shui clan and the Mu clan. That's enough. Let's move on to the next part. Si Junlin squinted his eyes. He had joined the first part at the last minute. His purpose was to worry about Lin Yu's title as the top blacksmith in the inner area. If Lin Yu was really good at forging, his combat strength would definitely be his weakness. Unfortunately, Si Junlin knew that he was wrong. This kid's combat strength was comparable to a Grand Supreme. Everyone present was a blacksmith, and they had spent a lot of time on forging. Naturally, their combat strength wasn't that strong. Let's forget about the first part. Let's move on to the second part. Si Junlin gave up on suppressing Lin Yu's combat strength. Since his combat strength was strong, his title as the top blacksmith was fake. Lin Yu was only 15 or 16 years old. At his age, it was impossible for him to be both a blacksmith and a combat strength. When Si Junlin's voice rang out, everyone could tell that he was targeting Lin Yu. Now, so many people had surrendered to Lin Yu. According to the scoring rules of the Earth ranking battle, Lin Yu should have obtained at least 20 points. Si Junlin added the first part of the martial arts competition to the 8 prefectures and also mentioned the new rules of the Earth ranking battle. The person with the highest score will be chosen based on the total score of the 2 parts. Based on Lin Yu's performance in the first part, his chances of winning were very high. Sect Master, isn't this a little unfair? Yes. After all, Lin Yu has already won by at least 20 points. Mu Zhan and Qian Dalong spoke one after another. Next round. Si Junlin's cold voice rang out, ignoring the opinions of these people. As long as he could officially ascend to the throne, these people who were in his way would die sooner or later. The second part of the competition has no restrictions. The participants can decide what they want to forge, and the 8 prefectures will evaluate it together. The Grand Supreme Cultivator announced again. The rules of the second part were the rules of the Xian sect for thousands of years. Even Si Junlin couldn't change it at will. The winner of this part will enter the Elders' Hall. Si Junlin's voice rang out. Those below who had just gotten a breather from Lin Yu's battle looked forward to it. Currently, the Elders' Hall only had the 8 prefectures and 2 crafting elders. Entering the Elders' Hall was equivalent to being on equal footing with the 8 prefectures. Elder Mu, do you know why Si Junlin wants to hold the Earth-ranking battle earlier? Si Shaoxian still wanted to know. Hearing that Si Shaoxian didn't address Si Junlin as Big Brother, Mu Zhan's eyes darted around. He had already guessed that these 2 siblings had really broken off their relationship. Young mistress, the young master sent a verbal order from the sect master of the Xiantian sect. He told us that the sect master of the Xiantian sect had already passed the position of sect master to him. The young master wants to officially ascend to the throne. Among the 8 prefectures, there are 5 prefectures who support the young master. Mu Zhan said softly. However, the other 2 crafting elders said that they would wait until the sect master of the Xiantian sect comes out of seclusion. After all, they know about the young master's background. In other words, the young master thinks that there are 5 people in the Elders' Hall who support him. However, according to the rules of the Xiantian sect that have been passed down for thousands of years, at least half of the people must support the young master before he can ascend to the throne. Si Shaoxian took a deep breath and said solemnly, so he wants to use the Earth ranking battle to send one of his people in. With 6 people, he can become the sect master without my father's help. Right? Young mistress is indeed smart. However, the current situation has changed. What has changed? Mu Zhan chuckled. Master Lin has already arranged everything for you. Among the 8 prefectures, my Mu residents and the Shui residents have already switched sides. Therefore, at least 5 prefectures support you. Si Shaoxian squinted her beautiful eyes and let out a sigh of relief. Did he sneak into the Mu residence to win over people's hearts for me? Young mistress, you still don't know? Mu Zhan was surprised. Everything Master Lin did was for you. Hearing this, Si Shaoxian couldn't help but feel touched. However, when she thought of Lin Yu's previous actions, she immediately denied Mu Zhan's words. No, no, he did it for the 9 nether cold fire. Chapter 277. As Si Shaoxian thought of this, she suddenly realized that everything was unknowingly going according to Lin Yu's original plan. The 8 mansions of the celestial sect of wonders were being pushed by an invisible hand. Si Junlin's advantage disappeared silently. As for Si Shaoxian, she became the biggest winner just because she agreed to Lin Yu's request. This guy's strongest point wasn't his transcendent realm appearance, but his actual combat strength that was comparable to a Grand Supreme. It was his mental strength. So strong. Is that person called Yao Feng? The entire place was in an uproar. The 30 people that were qualified to be listed on the Earth leaderboard started forging. However, only 3 people attracted the attention of others. One of them was Yao Feng. At this moment, countless precious materials were being tossed into the furnace in front of him. Yao Feng is quite capable. With so many high-grade materials, blacksmiths below the 5th grade wouldn't be able to do it. Mu Zhan said with a serious expression, "Can Lin Yu win?" Si Shaoxian was a little worried. Is he really the number 1 blacksmith in the inner region? Mu Zhan shook his head, sigh. That's a lie that the master used to deal with the Shui residents. I've never seen his forging skills before. What? Si Shaoxian opened her eyes wide. Does he not know how to forge? At this moment, Si Shaoxian saw how Lin Yu didn't move at all. She was a little worried. This old man thinks the same way. Mu Zhan broke out in cold sweat. Lin Yu's combat strength was unexpectedly strong. He always had shocking results. However, today's battle was decided through forging. On the other side, even Yin Xiao had started forging. Moreover, her furnace and materials seemed to be of a higher grade than Yao Feng's. However, her forging skills weren't as good as Yao Feng's. As such, the commotion caused by her forging was much smaller. What should I forge? Lin Yu touched his chin. There were plenty of materials in his storage ring. Oh right, I plan to use the 9 nether cold flame and the true sun flame to refine my spiritual will. The divine will Great Emperor's purple cauldron can be used as a vessel for these 2 flames. However, I'm still lacking something. Charcoal. Lin Yu snapped his fingers, and the furnace in front of him, which had been prepared for the earth roll, immediately began to burn. Immediately, a large amount of materials poured into the furnace from Lin Yu's storage ring. Lin Yu formed a seal with both hands, and the flames inside immediately changed. They were instantly replaced by the Grand Sun True Fire. The black flames burned fiercely. This change attracted everyone's attention to Lin Yu. Si Junlin, in particular, stared intently at the furnace. The materials were quickly melting. It's easy to refine the Millennium Profound Iron and Gold-Breaking Stone, but how can the 7-colored silicon and reincarnation spirit vein be refined so quickly? Si Junlin's smithing skills were top-notch, so he could tell at a glance that Lin Yu was amazing. This is bad. His gaze landed on the demonic wind as he sighed in his heart. Shorten the time. Yes. A Grand Supreme Realm cultivator in front of him immediately announced, "There's still 2 hours left." Hearing this, all the participants' hearts tightened. However, they could not speak as they were focused on the smithing process. Mu Zhan, Qin Dalong, and the others were overjoyed when they saw that Lin Yu had finally made his move. This was because there were still at least 10 hours left. But now this... Sect leader, this isn't the right time? Mu Zhan cupped his fists and said from afar, "Sect leader Mu, have you forgotten your position?" The Grand Supreme Realm cultivator said softly. Mu Zhan immediately saw Si Junlin's gaze and could not help but feel a chill run down his spine. "I'm old. I can't bear such a sharp gaze." Mu Zhan sighed and lowered his head, not daring to make a sound. Everything depended on whether Lin Yu could win. If he could, Si Shaoxian would have the support of an elder. In addition to the influence that Lin Yu had created during this period, they would be able to take advantage of the situation. However, if Lin Yu lost, the Shui family, Mu Zhan, Qin Dalong, and the others might also be tempted by Si Junlin. The second choice was to change the rudder. One wrong move, and he would lose every step. Si Shaoxian stood in front of Mu Zhan. Naturally, she knew that the power struggle this time had come to the surface. Sec Leader Mu, don't worry. I'll make sure you're safe. Si Shaoxian's voice was heard. Mu Zhan relaxed a little. However, he was even more anxious about Lin Yu's situation. It seems that only Yao Feng has a chance to finish the forging in 2 hours. Mu Zhan could not help but curse. Si Junlin's ambition is too much. Si Shaoxian's gaze turned serious. Her heart was beating faster and faster. Time ticked by. There was a loud boom. In Yao Feng's direction, a 7-colored light suddenly shot out of the furnace. 7-colored light. A grade 7 spiritual weapon. Mu Zhan gasped. That kid's forging skills have reached grade 7. Where did Si Junlin find such an expert in such a short time? Si Shaoxian did not have time to care about the others. She was even more worried when she saw that Lin Yu was still as calm as ever. Isn't he nervous at all? 35 minutes left. The voice from the seat of honor was heard again. It was like a death knell. Another boom was heard from below. Yin Xiaoxiao's furnace cracked as well. A 6-colored light flew out from inside. It was a spear. Phew! Yin Xiaoxiao heaved a sigh of relief. However, she frowned when she saw Yao Feng's grade 7 spiritual weapon. A loss by 1 grade. Her beautiful eyes were filled with loneliness as she looked at the others. They were all still forging. 30 minutes. The voice of the Grand Supreme Realm expert was heard again. Yin Xiaoxiao looked at Lin Yu, who was more than 10 steps away. He's not done yet. Keep it up. Even though she had fought with Lin Yu for so long, Yin Xiaoxiao had already regarded Lin Yu as an interesting friend. Naturally, she did not want him to lose. 15 minutes. The voice was heard again. I can't take it anymore. Master, you've wasted too much time in the beginning. Mu Zhan's old face was pale from nervousness. Si Shaoxian, who was beside him, clenched her fists in her sleeves. She did not even dare to breathe too loudly. Time. The voice of the person in the seat of honor was still in the air. Si Junlin was waiting for the word here to be uttered. Then, Lin Yu would be utterly defeated today. Si Junlin's lips curled up. Just when he thought the outcome was clear, he heard a boom. A loud explosion erupted from below. Then, a scorching storm swept up, causing the temperature of the entire space to rise abruptly. At the center of the storm, Lin Yu's furnace exploded. The black flames of the sun scattered, and a small and exquisite piece of charcoal appeared before everyone's eyes. Here, time stopped at this moment. The person in the seat of honor was gloomy. Time's up. Everyone stop. Lin Yu exhaled. His gaze fell on the floating charcoal. He stood with his hands behind his back. Looks good. He's done. Charcoal? What the hell is that? Chapter 278. Si Shaoxian, Mu Zhan, Qian Dalong, and Yin Xiaoxiao heaved a sigh of relief at this moment. But when they saw the fist-sized charcoal, they were conflicted again. That didn't look like a finished product. What top blacksmith in the inner region? That's all there is to it. It's obviously a failed product. Look at brother Yao Feng's 7-colored light. Xiao Yin is not bad too. She has 6-colored light. Even if Si Junlin wanted to find out that Lin Yu's was not a finished product, he knew that he had to go through the 8 constabularies. He announced, since there are already 3 candidates, let's start the selection. There's no need to select. A grade 6 spiritual weapon and a gradeless charcoal. Naturally, Yao Feng is the winner. One of the 8 constabularies said. Si Junlin smiled. That was his man. The rest nodded their heads too. What about the Mu residents, Qian residents, and Shui residents? Si Junlin's gaze landed on the 3 camps. Mu Zhan's face twitched. I think we still need to discuss this. Mu Zhan, are you blind? The results are right in front of you. Anyone with eyes can see that your so-called top blacksmith in the inner region is a liar. Why are you still so stubborn? That's right. Leader, announce the results. Yao Feng is the winner. Mu Zhan was immediately attacked by his opponents. His face turned red, but he couldn't rebut. Lin Yu's charcoal was floating in the air without any glow. How could anyone believe him? He suddenly felt that the sky had darkened. The situation today was in Si Junlin's hands. Since this is the case, Si Junlin smiled too. I announced that Yao Feng is the winner of the Earthboard tournament. He is now a blacksmith in the Celestial Sect of Wonders. At the same time, he will join the Elder Hall. Hold on. Suddenly, Lin Yu's voice interrupted him. What's wrong? Is that charcoal of yours not convinced? Si Junlin sneered, but he was still worried about Lin Yu's appearance. When he met Lin Yu's gaze, he felt a little scared. Lin Yu smiled and pointed to the sky with his right hand. Si Junlin looked over and saw that the sky, which was originally clear and boundless, had been covered by a large patch of dark clouds at some point in time. The other members of the 8 prefectures also noticed this phenomenon. However, the black feather only enveloped the area where they were. Outside the range of 100,000 feet, they could still see the sunny weather with the sun shining on the earth. Something's wrong. Could this be? Qian Daolong and Mu Zhan gasped. Si Shaoxian swallowed. It can't be wrong. On the black clouds, the lightning was like hibernation that had been lying in ambush for a long time. It turned into lightning dragons that would stick their heads out at any time. It was as if they were looking down on the earth at this moment. It can't be wrong. Si Shaoxian was overjoyed. Even Mu Zhan, who was behind him, felt his heartbeat quicken. This is the sign of the birth of a sacred artifact. Impossible. Si Junlin stared at the sky angrily. He stood up and gritted his teeth. It takes months to refine a sacred artifact. It's only been 2 hours. It can't be. However, in the next moment, thousands of thunderous roars reverberated in all directions. Everyone immediately saw a huge lightning pool descending and surrounding the floating charcoal. Boom! Boom! Deafening noises continued to reverberate in the air. The charcoal in the lightning pool began to crack. 1 colored light, 5 colored light, 7 colored light, 9 colored light. It's at the peak of the 9th grade spiritual artifact. Has it reached its limit? Just like a human cultivator undergoing a tribulation, the charcoal broke through the limit again in everyone's eyes. Rumble. Boom. 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 The 9-colored light shattered in front of everyone's eyes. It failed. D***. It was so close. Everyone was disappointed. However, Si Junlin, Yao Feng, and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Yu's lips curled up. How could something that he had refined fail? The lightning pool returned to the clouds. In the next moment, a ray of holy light broke through the dark clouds and landed on the ground. Sacred artifact, light. Sacred artifact, light. Master Lin is indeed the top blacksmith in the inner area. Many people from the Xian sect knelt down and bowed under the holy light. Spiritual artifacts are common. 1 sacred artifact every 10 years. At this moment, Mu Zhan also bowed to Lin Yu. Qian Daolong and the people from the Shui family did the same. They had already seen that the charcoal was still black in color. However, the holy light flowing on it had already caused Yao Feng and Yin Xiaoxiao's spiritual artifacts to tremble instinctively. The outcome of the battle was already very clear. Moreover, Lin Yu had not won by a small margin. He had won by a large margin. The difference between a sacred artifact and a spiritual artifact was like heaven and earth. The Xian sect was founded on crafting artifacts. Today, Master Lin has joined the Elders' Hall. On behalf of the Elders' Hall, I welcome you. In the future, Master Lin will be an important person in the Elders' Hall. The 2 blacksmiths who had always opposed Si Junlin extended their hands to Lin Yu at the same time. It was the same for the 8 constabularies of the Xian sect. Master Lin is indeed the top blacksmith in the inner area. I don't think that's all there is to it. Even among the core disciples, there's no one who can forge a sacred artifact within 2 hours. I think we should change the title of Grandmaster to the number 1 blacksmith of the Imperial Gate. The Situ residence agrees. The Mu residence agrees too. The Qian residence agrees. At this moment, all the glory was showered on Lin Yu. But from the beginning to the end, his eyes only cared about charcoal in his hand. I only need the 9 nether cold fire. Then, my success rate of entering the Yin-Yang realm will be much higher. Lin Yu thought to himself. Si Junlin's face turned pale. He was speechless for a long time. There was no need for him to announce it. The two blacksmiths from the 8 constabularies and the Elders' Hall had already listed Lin Yu as an elder. Yao Feng was lifeless. At this moment, he could only walk down the stage silently. Under the sacred light, he suddenly felt that his grade 7 spiritual artifact was not as good. Si Junlin had secretly used the materials from the Xian sect to make this spiritual artifact. It was extremely precious. He thought that after forging it, he would be able to obtain a grade 7 spiritual artifact for free. But now, Yao Feng disappeared into the crowd and walked faster and faster. He felt that Si Junlin would kill him and decided to run away. Sect leader. The blacksmiths cupped their fists and spoke, interrupting Si Junlin's thoughts. The results are out. The blacksmiths said again. Don't you already have a result? Do you still need me to say anything? Si Junlin's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He stood up and was about to leave when he heard Lin Yu's voice. Wait. Lin Yu knew that the time was right. There should be a result for the sect leader selection. How dare you? Who do you think you are? How dare you suggest the sect leader selection? Si Junlin stared at Lin Yu. Today, Lin Yu had already slapped him in the face. How dare he touch his position now? Chapter 279. Si Shaoxian took a step forward and appeared beside Lin Yu. Blacksmith on the heaven roll and an elder of the Xian sect. Master Lin is definitely qualified to make the suggestion. Si Shaoxian's cold voice was heard. She met Si Junlin's eyes fearlessly. The atmosphere of the Earth roll battle, which was thought to be over, reached its peak in an instant. Si Shaoxian, you've got guts. Si Junlin's cold voice was heard. He had received a report from the 9 Grand Supremes the day before. Si Shaoxian had brought Lin Yu into the Xian sect's main hall yesterday, and had even looked for Tang Xian. Unfortunately, Si Shaoxian and Lin Yu had escaped unscathed. Si Junlin had no evidence to use against them. I've always had guts. Si Shaoxian smiled at Lin Yu. Then, she greeted the 8 prefectures and the blacksmith elders. According to the Xian sect's rules, the sect leader must be chosen by more than half of the elders. Today, all 11 elders are present. Si Shaoxian took a deep breath. She had not expected this day to come so soon. I agree with Elder Lin. I hope that the new sect leader can be chosen immediately. Qian Dalong, Mu Zhan, and the other 8 elders were all in a tense mood. It was time to pick a side. Young Master is unparalleled. The sect leader has been in seclusion for the past 6 months. Young Master has been acting as the sect leader. On the other side, an elder who supported Si Junlin immediately said, I think young Master Junlin can officially become the sect leader. The sect leader has been in seclusion for a long time. It's time to choose a new sect leader. Another elder bowed and said, I also think young Master Junlin is worthy of the position. The actions of the 2 elders immediately tilted the situation in Si Junlin's favor. Si Shaoxian squinted her eyes. But soon, the 2 blacksmith elders said at the same time, We support young mistress. They did not mention the reason, but the others who knew the situation understood. Si Shaoxian was the rightful successor. Si Junlin looked down with a gloomy face. His power seemed to have fallen into the hands of others. I support Si Shaoxian too. Lin Yu smiled faintly. His voice seemed to have calmed Mu Zhan and the others down. The Mu clan supports First Mistress too. On the Shui family's side, Mu Zhan's father-in-law remembered that he had embezzled tens of billions of Xian sex materials over the years, and that Lin Yu still had something on him. So he too clasped his fists and took sides. My Shui residence also supports eldest Mississippi. All of a sudden, Si Shaoxian had 5 supporters. Damn it, what are you doing? Si Junlin didn't expect Mu Zhan to betray him. Even the Shui residence? Damn it, shut up. His expression was ferocious. The Sita Mansion also supports the First Mississippi. My Qian residence also supports eldest Mississippi. More and more people supported Si Shaoxian. In the blink of an eye, more than half of them had gathered. Damn it, I am the leader of the Celestial Sect of Wonders. Si Junlin took a step forward. At this moment, his cultivation completely exploded. 700 most exalted Tao arts. The 800 most exalted Tao. The 900 most exalted Tao. When did young Lord Junlin become so powerful? Pinnacle of Grand Supreme. However, a red light suddenly flashed in Si Junlin's eyes, and all of his exalted power gathered together. 1,000 Tao laws. The power of the laws enveloped the land. At this moment, Si Junlin had stepped into the Rule Realm. Rule Realm. Only I have the right to be a part of the celestial sect of wonders, right? Si Junlin's black hair danced in the wind as he looked down at everyone. His aura of the laws descended upon the land. Everyone's aura, even those in the Grand Supreme stage, was suppressed at this moment. Everyone's breathing became heavy. You guys continue to choose. Whoever dares to side with Si Shaoxian, don't blame me for being merciless. Si Junlin threatened them directly. Mujan's back was drenched in cold sweat. Isn't Si Junlin only at the 700 most exalted Tao? Since when did he step into the Rule Realm? Only Si Shaoxian felt a sense of familiarity from the power of the laws. Father's power was sucked away by you. Si Shaoxian gritted her teeth and stepped into the air. Si Junlin, tell me, where's my father? She was sure that this power had been used by the Black Heaven sect to nourish her cultivation since she was young. How could Si Shaoxian be wrong? You found out. Si Junlin's lips curled up. We're really connected by blood. When I sucked him dry, I didn't feel anything at all. Looking at the other party's ferocious appearance, Si Shaoxian's killing intent surged. Her golden body rose from the ground. Si Junlin's laws fell, and a loud boom reverberated in all directions. Her golden body shattered. Si Shaoxian spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the anger in her eyes could not be any greater. Give it back to my father. That's his power. Si Shaoxian cried out. She had been suppressing her emotions for the past few days. If Lin Yu had not been helping her, Si Shaoxian would have broken down long ago. However, at this moment, Si Shaoxian could no longer suppress the anger and pain in her heart. D*M. He sucked away the old sect master's power. How'd he do it? The 10 elders stepped into the air together. Si Junlin, the sect master saw you as his own son and taught you your cultivation. You heartless thing. D*M. Your father and the sect master were brothers back then, but he betrayed him. The sect master spared your life because you were young. He even took you in as his adopted son. If I knew this person would turn out like his father, I would have asked the sect master to kill you back then. Si Junlin gritted his teeth. It's too late. It's all too late. This was the first time he had heard about his background. He had thought that he was just picked up by the Black Heaven sect. However, he did not expect there to be another reason. It's fake. What father-son relationship? It's all fake. Only power is everything. Si Junlin's power of laws erupted, but the 10 elders could not hide their anger. On the other side, the other Grand Supreme Stage cultivators who were with Si Junlin had already made their way towards Si Shaoxian. Kill her, and the position of sect master will still be ours. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He held Si Shaoxian's willowy waist with one hand. The Buddhist karma body behind him rose from the ground and stood in front of the two of them. I can still fight. Si Shaoxian gritted her teeth and charged forward with her cultivation. However, Lin Yu stopped her. Help me get something. What is it? The 9 Serenity's cold flame. Si Shaoxian frowned slightly. Now? Lin Yu, I'll definitely give it to you once we're done with this. No. Lin Yu shook his head and said solemnly, I want it now. Leave this to me. It's your best chance to get it now. Lin Yu, can I trust you? Si Shaoxian's eyes reddened. She did not expect Lin Yu to ask her to get the 9 Serenity's cold flame at this time. However, she was already the sect master of the celestial sect. According to the original deal, Lin Yu had the right to make such a request of her. Sure, Lin Yu said calmly. Si Shaoxian looked at the 4 Grand Supreme Stage cultivators in the sky. Don't die then. I'll be back soon. With that, Si Shaoxian was already heading toward the celestial sect's main hall. Chapter 280. After Si Shaoxian left, Yin Xiaoxiao immediately appeared next to Lin Yu. "Let me help you." Lin Yu smiled faintly. "I don't have anything to repay you." Yin Xiaoxiao recalled how Lin Yu had attracted everyone's attention. "Then give me your body. Looks like you don't really want to help me. You just want my body." Lin Yu's face twitched. He could not be bothered with her. He unleashed his full combat strength and directly fought with the 4 Grand Supremes. Stingy. Yin Xiaoxiao glanced at Lin Yu in annoyance. However, she also channeled her Grand Supreme's cultivation. Her golden body rose from the ground and stepped into the air to join the battle. "You overestimate yourself. You think you can defeat a few invincible realms? You actually have the guts to fight us? Then let's kill this number 1 blacksmith." If it wasn't for him, the position of sect master would be ours today. The 4 of them were determined to kill Lin Yu. However, in the next moment, one of them was directly hit by Lin Yu. With a boom, the golden body shattered. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and smashed into the ground. Something's not right. Why is this kid so strong? The other 3 immediately dared not underestimate their opponent. However, Yin Xiaoxiao also stopped one of them at the same time. "They're all Grand Supremes of 100 Dao level. They're not very strong," she thought to herself. The battle between the 2 sides erupted. Meanwhile, in Bodhi's sect, a grand banquet was arranged. Close to 10,000 people from Bodhi sect were all present at this moment. Zhang Lingyi stood with his hands behind his back. He was dressed like a bridegroom and looked up at the sky. "My wife, we're almost there." Zhang Lingyi smiled greedily. "Tonight, I'll let you know how powerful your husband is." Behind him, Madame Bodhi also looked dignified. However, what she was thinking was different from Zhang Lingyi's. If Lin Yu was here, he would definitely notice something different about Madame Bodhi. Her aura was much stronger than when she was in the outer region. "Mother, is father really not coming out of seclusion?" Zhang Lingyi walked over and grumbled. "Your father is about to break through. Don't disturb him." Madame Bodhi smiled faintly. Breakthrough? He had already failed to break through a few days ago. She pressed the fist-sized emerald green thing in her arms and smiled with satisfaction. "When Tang Exine arrives, tonight will be the night I step into the 2nd level of the laws." At the same time, hundreds of thousands of feet away from the Bodhi sect, in front of the palanquin, Tang Exine slowly opened her eyes. At this moment, there was only despair in her eyes. Beside the palanquin, there seemed to be 5 Grand Supreme auras suppressing her, making her unable to move at all. "That girl is awake? Don't worry. I've already notified the Bodhi sect. Just hand her over to them, and we'll have nothing to do with her. Our people should have won today's Earth ranking battle. Sect Master can rest easy from now on." A cold voice came from outside the palanquin. Tang Xian's heartbeat quickened, and she couldn't help but thump. "I heard that young master will also participate in the Earth roll battle. Wouldn't that mean that he would fall into Si Junlin's trap?" But suddenly, the sound of wind whistling came from behind the palanquin. The 5 Grand Supreme Realm Masters also noticed the change and immediately turned around to look. They saw a huge staff breaking through the air, and in the blink of an eye, it was already above them. "What's that?" The 5 of them were shocked. Grand Supreme Realm cultivation also erupted from the Annihilation Heaven and Earth staff. "We found the person Sect Master is looking for. Quickly bring her back." Qin Wenyin and Yang Kai, because Lin Yu had opened the seal on the staff before they set off, stepped into the air at this moment. "Grand Supreme Realm, we're from a Xian sect. Who dares to block our way?" Dong Wang Fiyu, Shun Suyi, Yao Gu, Sword Maniac, Qin Ji, and Xiaobing also erupted with Grand Supreme Realm aura and immediately surrounded these people. The low-key sect is under Sect Master's orders to bring Tang Exine back. Qin Ji's voice rang out. Tang Exine, who was in the palanquin, immediately burst into tears. The low-key sect was young Master's people. In the Xian sect, the battle was gradually coming to an end. In the state of the law, Si Junlin's aura was getting stronger, while the 10 elders' auras were getting weaker. "Damn it, There's something wrong with this beast cultivation method. He's absorbing our skills. Retreat. Qian Dalong was the first to retreat, but the other two were a step too late. Try my great absorption technique. A majestic suction force erupted from Si Junlin's mouth. The suction force seemed to have a mind of its own as it instantly entangled two of the elders. Mansion Master C2. Mansion Master Shui. The two of them looked more and more terrified. They were shocked to realize that their skills were being pulled by Si Junlin's great absorption technique and were rapidly leaving their bodies. Hundreds of Grand Supreme powers were pulled out like a geyser, and all of them were devoured by Si Junlin's open mouth. Damn it, interrupt him. Although Mu Zhan and Qian Dalong were terrified by the terrifying cultivation method, they knew that now was not the time to be afraid. Once they retreated, they would all die. Mu Zhan formed a seal with both hands, and a layer of black armor suddenly appeared on his body. The moment the black armor appeared, Mu Zhan's golden body was also covered by a layer of black armor. On the other side, Qian Dalong was the same. A rainbow-colored armor also appeared on his golden body. The 8 elders attacked again. Si Junlin had no choice but to retreat a few steps and avoid a fatal blow. However, the 2 mansion masters who had their skills sucked away had already lost their ability to step on air, and they fell straight to the ground. Mansion Master. With a bang, the 2 of them landed on the ground. Si Junlin cracked his neck. Not bad. Although it's not as pure as the Black Heaven Sex Law method, I don't mind. He grinned. The originally black hair on his head turned white at this moment. The white hair danced in the wind. It was as strange as a demon. He used that evil method to kill the old sect master. We can't take him down. Old Qian, you have a lot of ideas. What do you think we should do? The remaining 8 elders surrounded Si Junlin in all directions, but they did not dare to act rashly. Qian Dalong shook his head helplessly. I've never seen such a powerful technique. I can't break it. I can't break it. The battle was intense. On Lin Yu's side, with Lin Yu's combat strength that was equivalent to 500 Dao of the Grand Supreme Realm, and with Yin Xiaoxiao's help, the 400 Dao of the Grand Supreme Realm experts had all fallen. You're not leaving anyone alive? Yin Xiaoxiao asked. She had already seen Lin Yu kill them. There's no point in keeping them alive. Lin Yu calmly wiped his hands with a handkerchief and turned to look at the others in the sky. His gaze landed on Si Junlin. It really has something to do with Lin Xiao. The corners of his mouth curled up. He felt that things were getting more and more interesting. When Si Junlin first saw him, Lin Yu had already guessed that he was extremely afraid of his face. Now, he was even more certain that Lin Xiao's hands had already infiltrated the Quasi-Emperor's sections. He already has a foothold in the Emperor's sect. Why is he plotting in a small place like the inner region? Chapter 281. Lin Yu had some doubts as he stepped into the air. Yin Xiaoxiao thought that Lin Yu would show mercy to these Grand Supreme Realm cultivators because of his relationship with Si Xiaoxian. She didn't expect him to kill them directly. Looking at Lin Yu's back, Yin Xiaoxiao couldn't help but laugh. So handsome. With that, she stepped into the air as well. 10 Grand Supreme Realm cultivators surrounded Si Junlin again. The more you come, the more you die. Si Junlin sneered. He raised his hands, and an aura of the laws shot up into the sky, forming a giant vortex above his head. It was a huge mouth, and below that mouth were the 10 people. It's not easy for us to take down this kid. If the sect master is here, he won't be a match for him. Old Qian, you're talking nonsense. His power comes from the sect master. Mu Zhan, Qian Dalong, and the others raised their combat strength to the maximum and summoned their golden bodies. However, they were helpless against the laws that could devour their cultivation. Especially now, Luo Junlin seemed to have merged his absorption technique into the law. If they were hit by the law, they guessed that they would end up even worse than the 2 elders who'd been sucked dry and fell to the ground. Lihua Jin Mountain. Lin Yu's voice suddenly sounded. The other elders were stunned. What? Your sect master isn't here, and you don't even know the 8 trigrams formation, he said calmly. Lin Yu spoke again. Qian Dalong, Qian Dalong. Kuan Di Mujan. Hearing that, Qian Dalong and Mujan reacted at the same time. 8 trigrams formation. The other 8 people were shocked at the same time. How could Lin Yu know the supreme array of their Qian sect? But they couldn't care less now. They knew that Si Junlin's laws had descended. If they hesitated, death would be waiting for them. Qian Dalong and Mu Zhan activated their cultivation at the same time. Following Lin Yu's instructions, their golden bodies exploded. On the other side, 2 elders from Lihua and Jin Mountain also attacked. Zhenlei, Kanshui, Xuanfeng Duais. Lin Yu shouted again as he raised his right hand. In an instant, the 8 great elders were like 2 fulcrum points around Si Junlin. Between them, an 8-foot wide black line had appeared. Within the black line, an astonishing aura of an array formation was emitted. Crack, crack. 8 trigrams of the profound gate open. Lin Yu pressed down with his hand, and within each of the 8 black lines, thick walls shockingly rose up. It was a copper-colored wall with countless complex totems engraved on it. It was a top-notch array that had been passed down from the Xian sect for many years. However, right now, perhaps only the Black Heaven sect and Lin Yu knew about it. Impossible. Father refused to pass down the 8 trigrams of the celestial sect to me. How did you know? Si Junlin roared angrily. At that moment, he was surrounded by 8 bronze walls. His nomological powers bombarded the bronze walls, but the bronze walls seemed to specialize in restraining nomological auras. In the next moment, the bronze walls repelled him. Si Junlin spat out a mouthful of blood. Lin Yu formed hand seals with both hands, and the aura of his own 3 elements in one erupted as well. The moment this aura appeared, it seemed to draw some kind of aura from the bronze walls. Once again, a gigantic golden dome was formed. Once the golden dome appeared, it covered the only escape route that Si Junlin could take, and came crashing down. Kaboom! The golden dome came crashing down, perfectly merging with the 8 bronze walls. While the 8 great elders were shocked, Lin Yu's expression was calm. In front of him, Si Junlin had already smashed into the ground, appearing at the same time as the 8 trigrams of the celestial sect. Inside the bronze walls, one could hear Si Junlin's angry roars and the sound of nomological powers colliding. Regardless, the bronze walls were the most solid existence. Si Junlin could not break through them at all. When everyone saw this, they heaved a sigh of relief. Master, not only are your forging skills the best in the world, I didn't expect you to be so good at array formations as well. Qian Dalong bowed to Lin Yu gratefully. At the same time, he was not the only one. Even the other 7 elders, including the 2 who were injured, bowed to Lin Yu at the same time. Si Junlin's betrayal is a family matter of the Xian sect. However, we were unable to solve it. I'm ashamed to say this, but it's all thanks to Master Lin. The 2 blacksmiths with the most experience looked at Lin Yu with kindness. After one of them finished speaking, the other immediately continued. I'm just curious. How did Master Lin know about the secret of the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect? After all, only our sect leader knows about this array. Lin Yu was too lazy to explain. However, at this moment, Si Shaoxian returned. I was the one who told him. The situation was urgent, and only Master Lin could use the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect perfectly. I hope the 2 elders won't blame me. After returning to Lin Yu's side, Si Shaoxian spoke and secretly handed a brocade box to Lin Yu. What you want is inside, Si Shaoxian said softly. Then, she pressed down on the brocade box, afraid that Lin Yu would open it. Leave first. I'll explain to you later. Lin Yu smiled. How could he not understand that the 9 Serenities cold flame was the treasure of the Xian sect? The sect leader of the Xian sect was not only the supreme existence of the Xian sect, but he also had the 9 Serenities cold flame and the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect. This was the foundation of the Xian sect. Now that Lin Yu used the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect, if others knew that he took the 9 Serenities cold flame, half of the Xian sect would be in his hands. Si Shaoxian was afraid that Lin Yu would be troubled by the other elders. She hoped that Lin Yu would keep a low profile. The low-profile sect has always been low-key. I should have listened to you. After Lin Yu spoke, Si Shaoxian heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you. However, in the next moment, Lin Yu opened the brocade box that contained the 9 Serenities cold flame. In an instant, a white flame soared into the sky, attracting everyone's attention. I'm also a righteous person. Lin Yu smiled. The 10 elders' gazes fell on the flame. The sect leaders, 9 Serenities cold flame. Why, young mistress, why did you give it to Lin Yu? Si Shaoxian hated Lin Yu to the core. You idiot, didn't you say to keep a low profile? Even so, I have to be righteous. Lin Yu shrugged. He felt that he was innocent. Very good. You're a righteous person, as expected of Xian, Er's chosen helper. Suddenly, a loud voice was heard. The 10 elders were still staring at Lin Yu and Si Shaoxian suspiciously. However, at this moment, all of their attention was directed to the main hall. Above the main hall, a white-haired elder walked in the air. He looked like an immortal. However, although he looked strong, his face was pale. Sect leader. I'm Qian Dalong. Greetings, sect leader of the Black Heaven sect. That's great. The sect leader of the Black Heaven sect is still alive. Mu Zhan and the others knelt down one after another. Si Shaoxian stared at Lin Yu. Idiot, what should we do now? After a smile, she said, shouldn't you be happy that the Black Heaven sect is still alive? Of course I'm happy. Si Shaoxian nodded. When she found the 9 Serenities cold flame, she saw the Black Heaven sect who was trapped in the same place as Si Junlin. As his daughter, she was naturally happy to know that her father was still alive. However, she thought of the 9 Serenities cold flame that she had promised Lin Yu. Her father would never agree to be taken away by Lin Yu. Chapter 282. Then what are you worried about? Lin Yu asked with a smile. I'm just worried that they'll make things difficult for you. Si Shaoxian rolled her eyes at Lin Yu and turned to Xian Tianzong. She bowed and said, Father, I promised Master Lin the 9 Nether Cold Flame. Please don't make things difficult for him. Xian Tianzong ignored Si Shaoxian and walked past her. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Lin Yu. Your Master Lin? Xian Tianzong sized up Lin Yu, and an elder immediately explained the situation to him. He forged a holy artifact in 2 hours. Even Xian Tianzong was stunned at this moment. Master, can you let me see your holy artifact? After hearing that, everyone broke out in cold sweat for Lin Yu. Although everyone initially thought that Xian Tianzong was dead, the aura that he exuded from his every move still made many people's expressions turn solemn when they saw the top figure in the inner territory. Obviously, he doesn't believe in Master Lin. Could it be that the sect leader saw something wrong and wanted to check the holy artifact himself? But I'm more curious. Didn't Si Junlin suck the sect leader's power dry? Why does it look fine now? Lin Yu slowly took out the charcoal that he forged and handed it to Xian Tianzong with a calm expression. However, Si Shaoxian was a little worried. Is there really no problem with the one you forged? The situation was so urgent that the elders didn't really take a closer look. The winner of the Earth ranking battle had already been decided. After that, the selection of the sect leader made her forget that Lin Yu had forged a holy artifact. But now that Xian Tianzong suddenly wanted to take a look, Si Shaoxian couldn't help but worry. She knew that her father respected the way of forging. If someone faked it in forging, even if Lin Yu was helping the Xian sect, it would immediately incur her father's wrath. There's no problem. Lin Yu's tone was very calm. Instead of looking at Xian Tianzong, he glanced at Si Junlin, who was in the 8 trigrams formation. The great absorption technique and Si Junlin's appearance. Lin Yu had no choice but to link him to Lin Xiao. Lin Xiao's actions made Lin Yu think of something. Could it be that Lin Xiao already knows about that matter so quickly? He stroked his chin with a solemn expression. Everyone else thought that Lin Yu was also nervous. Xian Tianzong's voice was heard again. Wonderful. How did you do it in such a short time? He shook his head in disbelief. The everlasting black gold is the best material for tempering spiritual will. It can also increase the chances of spiritual will breaking through. Are you a spiritual cultivator? If Lin Xiao knew, it would be troublesome. Given his personality, he would definitely go and destroy that thing. When that happened, this part of the starry sky would be in danger. Master? Master? Qin Dalong grinned and patted Lin Yu's shoulder lightly. Master, the sect leader is talking to you. Only then did Lin Yu come back to his senses. Oh, what's the matter? Just as the others were breaking out in cold sweat for him, Xin Tianzong laughed loudly. Good. Great wisdom appears to be stupidity. Si Shaoxian heaved a sigh of relief for Lin Yu. But in the next moment, she heard Lin Yu speak indifferently. Can I go in and take a look? Lin Yu's right hand was pointing at Si Junlin from the 8 trigrams of the Xin sect. Master, that kid's cultivation has reached the law realm. It's too dangerous for you to go in, Muzhan hurriedly advised. But Xin Tianzong raised his hand and interrupted Muzhan. He looked at Lin Yu. My unfilial son is causing trouble. I've embarrassed myself in front of Master Lin. I wonder why Master Lin wants to take the risk to go in. You should know how dangerous it is inside. Lin Yu nodded and smiled noncommittally. I want to ask him a few questions. Is it important to you? Is it worth the risk? Xin Tianzong asked again. Lin Yu nodded without hesitation. It's related to something fun. It's fun, so it's worth the risk. Xin Tianzong muttered. It's good to be young. Go in. But he shook his head again. But it takes time for the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect to open. Can you wait for a while? How long will it take? Lin Yu asked. With my current cultivation, it's less than 30% of my peak. It'll take at least 2 hours. Xian Tianzong finished speaking. Lin Yu shook his head. Too long. He took a step forward and sized up the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect. He paced back and forth in front of the formation for a while. I'll open it myself. When Xin Tianzong heard this, he immediately looked at Si Shaoxian. Girl, you even told him the way to crack it? Si Shaoxian was stunned and felt very helpless. She wanted to tell Xin Tianzong that she probably hadn't even learned the way to connect the formation. How could she even know the way to crack it? Yes, I told him. Si Shaoxian could only bite the bullet and answer. However, Xin Tianzong still felt that it was inappropriate. Other than cultivation and forging, my Xian sect cultivation method is also used to open the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect from the outside. If you want to go in, you need to learn my Xian sect's cultivation method first. Master Lin, let me open it. Crack. As soon as Xin Tianzong finished speaking, everyone heard a cracking sound. It came from the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect. Immediately after, they saw a human-shaped crack appear on the bronze wall in front of the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect. Where Lin Yu was at, there was an additional human-shaped crack. As soon as the crack appeared, a violent aura of law and a great absorption technique burst out. Lin Yu's body couldn't move. He stood in front of the crack. Without needing him to do anything, Xin Tianzong and the 8 great elders had already unleashed their glory chi at the same time and suppressed the crack. How did this kid do it? Xin Tianzong felt that Lin Yu's actions had exceeded his understanding. His method of forging the everlasting black gold was extremely exquisite. However, because his Xian sect was also an authentic blacksmith, he didn't want to praise Lin Yu too much. However, Lin Yu had opened the 8 trigrams of the Xian sect in an instant. Even he would need 2 hours to open it. This had already stunned Xin Tianzong once again. Be careful. Xin Tianzong also knew that since Lin Yu had opened it, he would definitely go in. He warned Lin Yu's son, Si Junlin, again, unfilial son, if you dare to hurt Master Lin, be prepared to be trapped in there for the rest of your life. As his voice rang out, the aura of law in the crack became even more vicious. Lin Yu coughed dryly. Sectmaster, it's better not to anger him. After saying that, Xin Tianzong shut his mouth. Meanwhile, Lin Yu had already disappeared on the spot. Father, he won't be in danger, right? Si Shaoxian asked worriedly. Even Yin Xiao, who was at the side, had a worried look on her face. He already got what he wanted. How did he get involved in this mess again? Master, that Master Lin is too fearless of death. The maidservant behind her couldn't help but sigh. Feeling a little helpless, Yin Xiaoxiao snorted. If he's not afraid of death, then let him die in there. Chapter 283. Although that was what she said, Yin Xiaoxiao's eyes did not lie. It was pitch black inside the 8 trigrams formation. This place was separated from the outside world by the bronze wall and the golden roof. Those outside could not see in, and those inside could not see out. However, when Lin Yu arrived, a murderous intent grabbed him by the throat. Lin Yu felt the force on his neck, but he remained calm. You want to kill me? It's all because of you. See, Junlin's voice came through gritted teeth. Lin Yu spread his hands. What does it have to do with me? You're destined to fail. It doesn't matter whether I appear or not. If it weren't for you, how could Si Shaoxian be my opponent? Si Junlin said angrily. He pressed his hand down, and Lin Yu leaned against the bronze wall. From the moment you fell in love with Si Shaoxian, you were destined to be no match for her. Why do you have to lie to yourself? Lin Yu's calm voice came through. However, it exploded in Si Junlin's mind like a thunderbolt. I didn't. Si Junlin's hand began to tremble uncontrollably. The surrounding laws were as violent as a storm. Even Lin Yu could not help but use the 3 elements as one technique at this moment to resist the pressure that was constantly exerting on him. I only want to replace her and become a true member of the profound sect. Hearing this, Lin Yu could not help but laugh. You knew from a long time ago that you were not a member of the Black Heaven sect. It was also from that moment on that your feelings for Si Shaoxian changed. At first, you were just a big brother. However, when you knew that you were not related to Si Shaoxian by blood, you gradually began to fall in love with her. As soon as Lin Yu finished speaking, Si Junlin released his hand. I've said it before. I only want to replace her. He stared into Lin Yu's eyes. Do you think that the angrier I get, the more you're right? Let me tell you, no one can see through my heart. None of you have the right. Lin Yu shrugged and smiled helplessly. I don't care about your heart. I'm just telling you the truth. If you want to replace her, you don't have to do so much. Lin Yu pressed one hand on the bronze wall and said, when you expose yourself, everyone thought that Si Shaoxian was the successor of the Xintian sect. But in fact, the Xintian sect wanted to give you the Xintian sect from the beginning, didn't they? You. Si Junlin's heart raced as he stared at Lin Yu in disbelief. Are you really the Celestial Arch? Looks like I'm not the only one who saw through this. Lin Yu smiled. Si Junlin exhaled. It was as if he had always been nervous. It was the kind of nervousness that would arise whenever the Celestial Emperor was mentioned. I thought that only His Majesty, the Celestial Emperor, could see this. Lin Yu was slightly taller than Si Junlin. He took a step closer and looked down. Did he teach you the absorption technique? It wasn't difficult for Lin Yu to see that the so-called Great Absorption Technique was just a cover. The ability to devour other people's power for its own use was the power of the heaven-reflecting mirror itself. You don't have the right to see His Majesty's plan. Si Junlin obviously didn't want to tell Lin Yu. All right, I'll guess it myself. Lin Yu wasn't angry. After being trapped for 100,000 years, he understood Si Junlin. It wasn't difficult to control him. First, the topic at the beginning was that the Xintian sect wanted to pass the Xintian sect to you. However, when you told them about your love for Si Shaoxian, the Xintian sect objected. After hearing this, Si Junlin couldn't help but clench his fists in his sleeves. Actually, you and the Xintian sect weren't wrong. One pursued his inner love, while the other protected his daughter as a father. At least in the eyes of the other people in the inner region, you were still brother and sister. However, you were even more wrong. Si Shaoxian didn't know about this at all. Lin Yu said mercilessly, you never told her the truth. This is a kind of love that doesn't respect a woman. The Xintian sect also saw this and didn't do it. You're right. I was wrong from the start. Si Junlin stumbled back a few steps. It was as if he recalled the mistakes he had made in the past 6 months. Now, there was a look of regret on his face. I won't say much about where you went wrong. Lin Yu still gave him some face. Let me guess again. Lin Xiao taught you the Great Absorption Technique and also gave you this rotten idea. He stroked his chin. This rotten idea was probably that you didn't need the Xintian sect permission to pass the throne to you. You snatched the position of the leader of the celestial sect of wonders yourself, and used this to prove your ability. Then, you would marry Si Shaoxian when you truly ascended to the throne. Even if you're not the celestial emperor, you must be closely related to him. Si Junlin stared at Lin Yu with certainty. Otherwise, how would you know so clearly? I also know that the celestial emperor has always done things with a purpose. You should tell me his purpose now. After hearing this, Si Junlin took a deep breath. You're right. I've already achieved his purpose. What? Corpses. All the corpses in the inner land. He wants all the corpses in the inner land. After hearing this, Lin Yu couldn't help but frown. As expected, he's already aware of that matter. What? Nothing. How many corpses did you give him? 3 million. Si Junlin squinted his eyes. This is the limit of what I can give him. All the corpses in the inner land that have been recorded over the years, regardless of whether they're ordinary people or Grand Supreme cultivators, I've already sent them all to the core. If what you said is true and he's already achieved his purpose, then guess what he'll do next? Lin Yu smiled helplessly. After hearing this, Si Junlin couldn't help but feel nervous. Impossible. He taught me the great absorption technique, and I gave him the corpses. We're even. The reason why he needs to use you is because he can't avoid the 7 great imperial sects. Therefore, his powers haven't reached the level where he doesn't fear the 7 great imperial sects. After Lin Yu finished speaking, Si Junlin wasn't a fool and obviously understood. He'll kill me to silence me? Maybe. I'm not him. I'm just guessing. Lin Yu smiled and turned to leave. He already knew the answer. Lin Xiu was faster than him and had already reached the final step of this star domain. But Lin Xiu didn't know that once he took that step, the disaster that this star domain would face wasn't something he could bear. Wait. Si Junlin could hear Lin Yu's enmity towards Sky Emperor. He called out to Lin Yu. Seeing Lin Yu stop in his tracks, Si Junlin no longer hated Lin Yu as before. It was obvious that Lin Yu's words had hit the nail on the head. Did I really do something wrong? There's no right or wrong in a relationship. It's just whether or not it's suitable. Lin Yu said indifferently, but Si Junlin fell in a deep thought. Si Junlin only took a deep breath when Lin Yu said Lin Yu. There's no right or wrong in a relationship. It's just whether or not it's suitable. He shook his head. Lin Yu, Sky Emperor doesn't have feelings, but you do. You might not be his opponent in this round. Chapter 284. After Lin Yu came out, Si Shaoxian and Yin Xiaoxiao felt relieved. I'm done with my questions. Lin Yu said to Xian Tianzong. What did that unfilial son say? Xian Tianzong asked tentatively. Lin Yu smiled. Sect Master, you can go in and ask the answer you want. Hearing this, Xian Tianzong also noticed Lin Yu's gaze. There were too many people here. He understood what Lin Yu meant. After all, family scandals should not be aired in public. Then I'll go in and ask personally. Xian Tianzong said and was about to go in. Sect Master, it's dangerous inside. The refining elder immediately said. You talk too much. Xian Tianzong glared over. Even Master Lin can escape unscathed. Can't I? The refining elder was stunned. What he said made sense. He shut his mouth. He knew that if he continued to persuade, wouldn't it mean that the dignified Xian Tianzong was inferior to a teenager? Xian Tianzong swept past Lin Yu and said softly, Thank you. Lin Yu smiled and did not reply, because Xian Tianzong had already entered the 8 trigrams formation. The crack gradually closed. Master, Si Shaoxian reminded, although Father doesn't seem to be angry, the refining elder and the others are very stubborn. What do you mean? That's right. You'd better find a chance to take the 9 serenities cold flame away. I'm afraid that the refining elder will persuade Father again. Otherwise, you can take the 9 serenities cold flame away. Actually, Lin Yu whispered in Si Shaoxian's ear, I'm just borrowing it. I don't need to take it away. Why didn't you say so earlier? Si Shaoxian rolled her eyes at Lin Yu, So you mean that the Nine Serenity's cold flame doesn't need to be taken away from Xian sect? Touching his chin, Lin Yu estimated that he wouldn't need too much time. About time. When Xian Tianzong comes out, I'll explain to him and he can start refining. That's good. Si Shaoxian heaved a sigh of relief. Things were much simpler now. However, what welcomed her was Lin Yu's suspicious gaze. The Nine Nether Cold Flame is the most precious treasure of the celestial sect of wonders. You're actually willing to let me take it away? Si Shaoxian turned her face away. I, Si Shaoxian, am a person who knows how to repay kindness. Lin Yu stopped teasing her. After all, there were many eyes on them now. One of them belonged to Yin Xiaoxiao. Lin Yu and Yin Xiaoxiao looked at each other, but it was too late. You still remember that I'm here? Yin Xiaoxiao's sorrowful voice could be heard. Master Lin is such a playboy. He has been flirting with Si Shaoxian since the beginning. It seems that he has completely forgotten about what happened last night. Cough. Lin Yu interrupted her. If there's nothing else, I should go back and spend more time with my family. What family? Are you trying to chase them away? Yin Xiaoxiao looked at him innocently. Lin Yu felt a headache coming on. What I mean is that there are many things you don't know about the floating life demonic sect. If you have time, you should go back and learn more. After all, your father, thinking of the demonic sect's leader, Lin Yu was still a little wary. He remembered that Yin Xiaoxiao's father was different from the Black Heaven sect. He was a very ambitious person. My father is doing very well, but I'm not doing well. Yin Xiaoxiao pursed her lips, looking as if she was hurt by Lin Yu. Seeing this, Si Shaoxian also looked at them suspiciously. Lin Yu must have done something terrible to Yin Xiaoxiao. However, only Lin Yu looked helpless. He knew that Yin Xiaoxiao just liked to attract men's attention. There were not many men in the inner area who could really catch her eye. While the three of them were still arguing, they heard the 8 trigrams formation shake suddenly. Hence, they immediately became alert. Is Si Junlin coming out? Damn it, the old sect leader is in danger. However, in the next moment, they heard Black Heaven Sect's angry roar. My child, my child. Lin Yu sensed that something was wrong. He formed a seal with both hands, and the 8 trigrams formation immediately began to dissipate. In the beginning, he had used the power of the 8 Great Elders to form this formation. Naturally, he could also undo it. Master Lin, you can't. Mu Zhan was afraid that Lin Yu would accidentally release Si Junlin, so he and Qin Dalong immediately stood in front of Lin Yu. Scram, Lin Yu said angrily. The two of them were shocked and could only retreat. Undo. As soon as he said that, the bronze wall in front of Lin Yu suddenly disappeared. Si Junlin and Black Heaven Sect's figures appeared before everyone's eyes. Lin Yu, I'll take responsibility for my mistakes, but you must defeat the Celestial Emperor. Si Junlin said to Lin Yu with difficulty. Lin Yu shifted. When he appeared, he was already in front of Si Junlin and Black Heaven Sect. Unfortunately, when he arrived, Si Junlin was already in Black Heaven Sect's arms, lifeless. It's too late. Lin Yu frowned. His gaze fell on Si Junlin's chest. Blood sacrifice to refine the heart. He felt helpless. Si Junlin should have known about this all along. However, he didn't tell Lin Yu. Naturally, Lin Yu knew this too. He knew that he would die. Whether Lin Yu appeared or not, the Celestial Emperor would kill him. However, Si Junlin had long given up on the idea of living. My child, Black Heaven Sect's body trembled. He shook Si Junlin's body, but there was no reaction. Lin Yu sensed that Black Heaven Sect's power had been restored by more than 80%. The aura of the Law Realm appeared on his body again. It seemed like Si Junlin had already returned his power to the Black Heaven Sect when they came in. His death was very painful. Black Heaven Sect gritted his teeth. Lin Yu, you know who killed my son, don't you? Sect Master might not have the ability to seek revenge for this matter now. Lin Yu didn't hide it. That person is the Emperor's Sect Master. Emperor's Sect, Black Heaven Sect's face was ashen. In the eyes of the outer region, the quasi-emperor level sects of the inner region were terrifying existences that could not be surpassed. However, to the inner region, Wasn't the Emperor's sect also a source of fear? The reason this star field was called the Emperor's sect star field was because the 8 great Emperor sects were the rulers of this star field. My son already knows his mistake. Why does he still have to die? Lin Yu wasn't surprised at all. When Black Heaven's sect appeared, he first asked him for the infinite black gold. He knew that this old sect master had no intention of killing Si Junlin. This time, he had focused his attention on him. Since he knows the secret of the Emperor's sect, he's destined to die. Lin Yu finished calmly. Si Junlin's death also protected the people of the Celestial sect. If he lived, the Celestial Emperor's anger would affect the Celestial sect at any time. Emperor sect. I'll use my entire life to step into the core and make the person who killed my son pay the price. Black Heaven's sect gritted his teeth, and the veins in his hands bulged. Si Shaoxian and the other elders stepped forward. Lin Yu knew that he didn't need to stay here, so he left the crowd. Hey, I have something to tell you. Yin Xiaoxiao's voice came from behind Lin Yu. Chapter 285. What? Turning around, Lin Yu saw that Yin Xiaoxiao had come alone. The maidservant who had been accompanying her was nowhere to be seen. A girl's worries. Yin Xiaoxiao whispered into Lin Yu's ear. Before Lin Yu could react, Yin Xiaoxiao had dragged him back to the inn she was staying in. It was empty, just like the last time. Obviously, it had been booked by Yin Xiaoxiao, the rich second generation. No one will disturb us here. Yin Xiaoxiao pretended to be ambiguous as she went up to the loft with Lin Yu. The water had already been filled, and a warm mist slowly rose from the water. Lin Yu shook his head helplessly. Here we go again. Before he could finish speaking, Yin Xiaoxiao had already taken off her clothes. The two of them were only separated by a thin curtain, so Lin Yu could see every movement of Yin Xiaoxiao. But he still asked calmly in his heart, "Aren't you afraid that I won't be able to control myself?" The sound of running water could be heard. Yin Xiaoxiao, the charming beauty, was unscrupulously bathing in front of Lin Yu. After a long while, she continued, "When I was forging just now, the unpleasant smell of iron really made me uncomfortable." She raised her right leg out of the water and slowly rinsed it from her ankle up. If any other man couldn't control himself, then he would already be a dead man. Yin Xiaoxiao's gentle voice came. But if the one who couldn't control himself was Lin Yu, then let him be. Smiling helplessly, Lin Yu lay down. "You didn't bring me here just to say this, right? Master Lin is really amazing, but Xiao still wants to ask, have you solved Tang Xian's matter?" "I've solved it." Lin Yu nodded. At first, he wanted to end things here and go find Tang Xian. But in his storage ring, Yang Kai's sound transmission token had already informed him in advance that the people from low-profile sect would soon take Tang Xian back to profound sect. Therefore, Lin Yu was not in a hurry. "Master, you've just stolen the limelight in the Earth-ranking battle, but in such a short period of time, you're able to take care of another beauty at the same time. Xiao truly admires your great ability." Lin Yu crossed his legs and suddenly opened a brocade box in his hand. The moment the box was opened, Yin Xiaoxiao suddenly felt the temperature of the entire room plummet. Goosebumps appeared on her fair skin, and the water around her suddenly became icy cold. "Scoundrel, hurry up and put it away. It's so cold." Yin Xiaoxiao's sorrowful voice could be heard. Lin Yu had no choice but to close the brocade box. Yin Xiaoxiao circulated her cultivation base. The temperature in the inn gradually returned to normal. "That's the treasure of the celestial sect of wonders, the 9 nether cold flame, right?" Yin Xiaoxiao couldn't help but look over curiously. Lin Yu looked down and immediately saw a familiar scene. "Cough, move back a bit. You're poking me." Lin Yu coughed dryly. Yin Xiaoxiao was stunned, and her cheeks turned red. "Scoundrel, I just wanted to take a look. Why are you putting it farther and farther away? Is this what you failed to steal the last time you came to Profound Sect?" Lin Yu smiled faintly. Si Shaoxian would not have chased Yin Xiaoxiao to the 4-way star field for no reason, unless the latter had crossed her bottom line last time. If this lady had succeeded last time, I would be the one showing off now, Yin Xiaoxiao said unwillingly. But Lin Yu did not give her any face. Not only did he put the 9 nether cold flame further and further away, he even put it into his storage ring. You, can't you just let me take a look? Just one look. Yin Xiaoxiao was furious. I've already let you see everything. Can you not be so stingy? Ugh, the 9 nether cold flame is more precious than you. Smelly Lin Yu. A splash of water flew out. Yin Xiaoxiao was furious. But before the water could touch Lin Yu, it was all evaporated by his qi wall. Let's get down to business, Lin Yu said impatiently. He still had a lot of things to do. Now that Yin Xiaoxiao had dragged him to this place, it was not in line with his personality. After calming down, Yin Xiaoxiao looked at Lin Yu pleadingly. All right, if you don't want to let me see, then I won't. I asked you to come because I want to ask you if you want to join my demonic sect of bliss. Lin Yu's lips curled up. As expected, it was because of this. No need. Why? Yin Xiaoxiao's expression became serious. You won't even listen to my reasons and conditions? No need. What does this have to do with me? Lin Yu said calmly, as if no conditions were enough to arouse his interest. I'm going to say it. But Yin Xiaoxiao did not give him any chance to speak. She immediately said, My father has already let me marry someone from the Emperor's sect. Her eyes turned red. If I don't agree, he told me to find my ideal husband. If I can't find one, I'm not allowed to object. And then? Lin Yu's expression was still normal. During the time he was trapped, he had learned about the demonic sect of bliss and vaguely remembered that the sect master of the demonic sect had a relationship with the Emperor's sect. Using Yin Xiaoxiao as the price was nothing to the sect master of the demonic sect. Lin Yu had already expected this. And then, it's not that easy to find my ideal husband. The person I like has to be at least as handsome as you, as powerful as you, and as capable of making me angry like you. Hearing this, Lin Yu blinked, his heart unperturbed. Do you understand? If I want my ideal husband, you're the only one I choose. Seeing Lin Yu's nonchalance, Yin Xiaoxiao could not help but hug herself tightly. Do you think I'll show my body to any man? Only you, Lin Yu, have ever seen it. Lin Yu said calmly. So you told me about Tang Exit? Yes. Yin Xiaoxiao nodded. I don't want her to be like me. Zhongling can go to the outer realm to find trouble with you, but I think many people can already tell who Tang Xian likes. Yin Xiaoxiao knew that she had been led into a trap by Lin Yu, and immediately said, But I don't think I'm worse than Tang Xian. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Naturally, he would not compare different women. In his opinion, every woman was different in their own way. For example, Yin Xiaoxiao was born in the demonic sect and was the daughter of the sect master, so she was bold in her love and hatred. As for Tang Xian, she carried the burden of the dragon-sealing city of the 9 luminaries. To her, the shackles on her were naturally heavier. Why aren't you saying anything? Am I really not as important as Tang Xian in your heart? Yin Xiaoxiao looked a little scared and unconfident. Tang Xian wouldn't ask such a question. Lin Yu said, and Yin Xiaoxiao suddenly understood. She was too impulsive. Lin Yu, I'm sorry, I definitely won't join the demonic sect of bliss. Lin Yu did not hide his thoughts, and said firmly, Besides, I have my own sect. Chapter 286. Your own sect? There was no information about Lin Yu in the inner area, so Yin Xiaoxiao knew little about him. What's your sect called? The low-key sect, Lin Yu said in a low-key manner. Just as Yin Xiaoxiao's face was filled with black lines, a huge stick suddenly broke through the clouds above the Xian sect and fell down as if it had pierced through the horizon. Left, Emissary Yang Ka. Right, Emissary Qin Wunyan. Great Elder Qin Ji. Everyone on the world extinguishing staff landed outside the inn in unison. Yin Xiaoxiao was stunned and quickly put on her clothes. It was also at this moment that she sensed the aura of 9 Grand Supremes outside. Although they did not have more than 400 high-level Grand Supremes, she had never heard of a force with such a large number of Grand Supremes. At the same time, Yin Xiaoxiao also sensed one of the auras. Although he was only at the peak of the invincible realm, His glory chi was mixed with the sharp sword chi. This person was more threatening than a Grand Supreme's. These 10 people were Yang Kai, Qin Wunyan, Qin Ji, Yao Ge, the 3 Dong Wang Feiyu sisters, Sor Maniac, Xia Bing, and Shen Sui. Behind them stood Tang Xen, who was dressed in red. This scene fell into the eyes of the Xian sect members, especially Qian Dalong and the other elders. They were also alarmed by the 10 auras. Is an enemy attack? 9 Grand Supremes, and one of them is comparable to a Grand Supremacy. These people don't look like people from the demon sect of Floating Life or the Bodhi sect. Where are they from? While the elders were vigilant and full of hostility, Zhan laughed. Mu Zhan coughed dryly and said confidently, "Don't worry, old friends. That's Master Lin's man." He naturally recognized the world-extinguishing staff. Lin Yu had used this staff to lock up his shrew wife, Shui Ruyu. However, Mu Zhan was helpless. Shui Ruyu had done many evil things and suppressed Mu Zhan for many years. But considering that they were husband and wife, Lin Yu still suggested that Mu Zhan just be locked up. Now that the Shui clan and the Mu clan were on equal footing, Mu Zhan's status had risen. Naturally, he would listen to Lin Yu's words. In the end, Yin Xiao put on her clothes. Lin Yu smiled faintly, stood up, and was about to walk out of the room. "This is my low-key sect." Low-key sect, Yin Xiao appeared as well. She saw the Nirvana universe staff shrinking as the 10 auras knelt before Lin Yu at the same time. "Greetings, sect master." His voice was loud and clear, and it was mixed with the ripples of 10 Grand Supreme auras that shook the surroundings. Many from the Xian sect looked over and looked at Lin Yu in awe. "Master Lin Yu, you have 10 great experts under you." Sure enough, Master Lin Yu is no ordinary person. A terrifying existence that can forge a sacred weapon in 2 hours and has so many experts assisting him. Master Lin's strength is probably approaching that of a quasi-emperor level sect. Is it going to be a 4th quasi-emperor level sect in the inner region? Lin Yu raised his hand, indicating for everyone to rise. At this moment, a red-clothed woman could no longer hide her feelings and directly rushed into Lin Yu's embrace. "Master," Tang Xen leaned on Lin Yu's chest with tears in her eyes. "I thought I'd never see you again. If you hadn't messed around with Si Xiaoxian, things wouldn't have been so complicated." Lin Yu reprimanded her. He didn't want to reveal his trump card so soon. The combat strength of the low-key sect was his trump card. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to drag you down and risk my life for you." Tang Xian's tears glistened as she looked up at Lin Yu apologetically. "Master, I don't want to marry Zhang Lingyi." "I know." Lin Yu smiled faintly and didn't say anything else. At this moment, Si Xiaoxian arrived. "Little Tang, you've really been rescued?" Si Xiaoxian was surprised and happy. Tang Xian nodded. The 2 women couldn't hide their joy of reunion, but they were also worried at the same time. The Bodhi sect was not to be trifled with. Today, Lin Yu's actions were no different from stealing Zhang Lingyi's bride. How could the Bodhi sect maintain their dignity? Although Tang Xian and Si Xiaoxian were worried, Lin Yu's expression was calm as usual. Only he knew that he was destined to offend the Bodhi sect. It was the same sooner or later. "Master, my father wants you to meet him," Si Xiaoxian suddenly said. Lin Yu nodded. It seemed that the Black Heaven sect was in a better state now. Si Xiaoxian made arrangements for the people of the low-key sect, while Lin Yu went to the Xian sect's main hall. The last time he was here, he saw Si Xiaoxian crawl into the dog hole. But this time, the elders were already waiting for him. "Master, the sect master is waiting for you inside. We didn't do well during the chaos caused by Si Junlin. If you can, Master, please put in a few good words for us." Lin Yu's expression was calm. He didn't even nod and walked around these people. He never liked to pay attention to these common names. When he arrived at the sect master's main hall, there wasn't even a servant here. Lin Yu only saw the Black Heaven sect, who had already sat down and looked at him at the same level. "This old man is very gratified that Master can give me the honor of meeting him. Sect Master of the Black Heaven sect is too kind." Lin Yu didn't mention Si Junlin, but he knew that Black Heaven's sect would ask. As expected, Black Heaven's sect's voice came. Master, do you know which Emperor's sect killed my son? Heavenly Emperor's sect. Heavenly Emperor's sect. The 8th Emperor's sect that only appeared in recent months? Black Heaven's sect was a little surprised. I didn't expect that they had already extended their claws into the inner region. It seems that this 8th Emperor sect is quite ambitious. With strength comes ambition. Lin Yu's tone was calm. The sect master of the Heavenly Emperor's sect is not weak. Black Heaven's sect narrowed his eyes slightly. His vicious eyes naturally saw that Lin Yu seemed to know the strength of the Heavenly Emperor very well. Black Heaven's sect asked tentatively, if this old man wants to surpass Lin Xiao, how long does Master think it will take? 100,000 years. Lin Yu said without hesitation. If it were anyone else, outsiders might think that they were looking down on the sect master of the celestial sect. But Lin Yu was different. In the eyes of Black Heaven's sect, his words were authoritative. 100,000 years. It seems that this old man won't have a chance anymore. Black Heaven's sect laughed loudly, filled with sorrow. Lin Yu looked at all of this indifferently. Si Junlin has already chosen his own path. Sect master of the Black Heaven sect doesn't have to care. He did wrong and deserves to die. But I'm his father. It's also my duty to avenge him. Black Heaven's sect said stubbornly. But you can't do it. If you do it again, it won't be right. Lin Yu retorted him without holding back. If you bury hundreds of thousands of lives in the celestial sect, it will be a mistake on top of a mistake. Only then did Black Heaven's sect slowly calm down. Master Lin, what my son said before he died, is it true? He emphasized. He said that only you can defeat the Heavenly Emperor. Defeat the Heavenly Emperor. Lin Yu smiled faintly. It's indeed something fun. Chapter 287. Master, are you confident that you can defeat the Heavenly Emperor? Xian Tianzong looked at this young man in surprise. This time, he noticed that Lin Yu's every move was filled with incomparable confidence and sincerity. How is this the temperament that he looked like at his age? What is the Heavenly Emperor? Lin Yu suddenly laughed. Heavenly Emperor Lin Xiao was his clone. Even if Lin Xiao had the same temperament and talent that he had accumulated for 100,000 years, coupled with the unique ability of the sky reflecting mirror to absorb power, Lin Xiao's improvement was terrifying. But in Lin Yu's eyes, he always thought that Lin Xiao was just his clone. On the other hand, Lin Xiao also knew that only by killing Lin Yu could he truly achieve a perfect great Tao. This was also the reason why he had tried to kill Lin Yu so many times. What is the Heavenly Emperor? Even with Xian Tianzong's status in the inner region, he still gasped at this moment. Heavenly Emperor Lin Xiao, the current master of the 8th Emperor's Gate, the supreme existence in this starry sky, comparable to the 8 great emperors of the star field. But Lin Yu dared to say such words. Even Xian Tianzong did not have the slightest confidence in taking revenge after knowing that the person who killed his son was the Heavenly Emperor. So Xian Tianzong deliberately asked Lin Yu. Lin Yu naturally saw that Xian Tianzong had no confidence in his heart. The 100,000 years, he said, was an objective estimate, but he also had the intention of letting Xian Tianzong give up. Good. What is the Heavenly Emperor? This sentence sounded extremely arrogant to outsiders, but for some reason, it made Xian Tianzong very happy. Master Lin, if you need any resources in the future, feel free to ask. This old man will definitely do his best to help. From his words, Lin Yu could tell that the old sect master had pinned all his hopes on him. Thank you, sect master. Lin Yu smiled in response. It was naturally the best to have help delivered to his door. I heard that your people appeared in Qian Dalong's territory. The 8 residences of the Celestial Sect of Wonders each had their own territory, and the inns and gambling houses were under Qian Dalong's management. Yes, Lin Yu nodded and smiled. Sect Master must have heard other news. Smart. Xian Tianzong smiled appreciatively. I heard that it's your sect. You even snatched Tang Xian back. I wonder if Master Lin is thinking of establishing a sect in the inner region? Lin Yu nodded. He was a straightforward person who did not resort to insinuations. If you want to establish a sect in the inner region, you need at least one Law Realm expert. You should know that, right? After Xintian's sect finished speaking, or a powerhouse with combat prowess comparable to the Law Realm. Lin Yu smiled faintly and added to Black Heaven's sect statement. The latter was stunned. Yes, but there's a world of difference between precepts and Grand Supremes. Without entering precepts, it's too difficult to fight precepts with Grand Supremes. There should be another condition for establishing a sect in the inner region. Lin Yu looked at the sky outside the main hall. The weak are prey to the strong. If you defeat one of the quasi-emperor level sects, you can establish a sect, right? Isn't this more difficult than having a Law Realm expert? Black Heaven's sect narrowed his eyes. Looks like Master Lin already has his own plans. The Bodhi sect or the Demon sect of Bliss. After Lin Yu finished speaking, Black Heaven's sect heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that it was not his celestial sect of wonders. Lin Yu's ambition and potential had already made Black Heaven's sect have no choice but to treat him as a terrifying existence when he grew up. Black Heaven's sect even wondered if he should take back Lin Yu's cold fire now to suppress Lin Yu's growth. However, Black Heaven's sect immediately dismissed this idea. Lin Yu seemed to have seen through Black Heaven's sect's thoughts. I'm only borrowing the 9 nether cold fire for a period of time. Sect Master, you don't have to blame Si Shaoxian. Black Heaven sect immediately laughed. It's so comfortable to talk to someone as smart as Master Lin. Since Shaoxian is already the new sect master, she naturally has full authority to make decisions regarding the cold fire. Of course, there's also the matter of Tang Xian. How can that bastard Zhang Lingyi be worthy of someone from the Celestial Sect of Wonders? You were right to bring her back. The Celestial Sect of Wonders will stand on your side in this matter. Since he had chosen to help Lin Yu, Black Heaven's sect knew that he should show his sincerity. Lin Yu smiled and did not pester him any further. He bid farewell and left. At this moment, 2 crafting elders came out from behind Black Heaven's sect in the main hall. What do the 2 of you think of Lin Yu? Black Heaven's sect asked. The 2 of them looked at each other. One of them spoke first. He's young, but his temperament is superb. He was able to get Qian Daolong and Mu Zhan to support young mistress under Si Junlin's nose. At the same time, he was able to gain young mistress's complete trust. This old man has lived for more than 80 years, but I'm ashamed of my inferiority. The other nodded in agreement. His combat power is equally shocking. Lin Yu can perfectly control the 8 trigrams formation. To be honest, if he's your son, this old man will definitely support him to become the new sect master. But he's still an outsider. Black Heaven's sect listened. Lin Yu can only be a friend, not an enemy. The crafting elder behind him smiled. If young mistress can walk together with Lin Yu, then Lin Yu won't be an outsider. Old man, why are you thinking of the same thing as me? The other crafting elder could not help but speak up. Sect Master, this method is feasible. Lin Yu was able to help young mistress before. The 2 of them must have a close relationship. This matter still depends on Shaoxian. Black Heaven sect's old face frowned slightly. Shaoxian might not be able to follow the path that Lin Yu wants to take. After leaving the sect master's hall, Lin Yu saw Si Shaoxian and Tang Xian waiting for him outside. Did father make things difficult for you? Si Shaoxian was the first to step forward and ask. Lin Yu shook his head. I need to cultivate in seclusion. Can you arrange a place for me? Si Shaoxian sighed in relief and nodded. You're now an elder of the Celestial Sect. You should have an elder's hall. I've already ordered someone to arrange it. I've also asked your people to wait for you in the elder's hall. Thank you. Lin Yu nodded. When he arrived at the elder's hall, Qin Wenyan, Yang Kai, and the others immediately stood up and greeted the sect master in unison. No need for formalities. Lin Yu raised his hand casually. Qin Ji stood up and came before Lin Yu. There were a total of 5 Grand Supremes escorting young Mistress Tang Xian this time. According to the sect master's orders, they've all been killed. She spoke in a low voice. They've even taken away the storage rings. The resources inside have all been placed in our low-key sect's treasury. Knowing that he was getting richer, Lin Yu smiled in satisfaction in his heart. Although the low-key sect's combat strength was still a distance away from a boundary emperor-level sect, they were not far behind in terms of resources. Lin Yu gave a few more instructions and then went to the place where he practiced martial arts alone. When the brocade box was opened, the terrifying chill of the 9 nether-cold flame immediately seeped out. The entire wide wall of the cultivation room was instantly covered in a layer of ice mist. The purple cauldron between Lin Yu's brows slowly flew out. Chapter 288. I remember that the Divine Will Great Emperor also reached the Yin-Yang Divine Will state, but he didn't do it in the 3 elements as one state. Lin Yu still felt that there was a flaw in this. Even for those legendary figures in the past, their cultivation path was far from perfect. Lin Yu took out the Wuji black gold again. The next moment, the true sun fire of great venerable Shumi was activated, and the terrifying temperature formed a sharp contrast with the cold fire. In an instant, the cultivation room was divided into 2 worlds by the black and white flames. With extreme heat and extreme cold, plus the guidance of the black gold and the divine cauldron, it shouldn't be difficult to cultivate the Yin-Yang Great Tao in my divine will. Lin Yu thought, but my 3 elements as one Tao might lose its balance at this moment. Forget it. I'll give it a try. Lin Yu stopped thinking and closed his eyes. His divine will instantly entered the purple cauldron. At this moment, a translucent human figure could be seen in the purple cauldron. It was like a miniature Lin Yu sitting cross-legged. Below him, the Wuji black gold was burning with the true fire and the cold fire. Under the black and white flames, extreme pain followed. Lin Yu's right divine will felt as if it was burning, while his left divine will felt bone-chilling coldness. After being trapped for 100,000 years, Lin Yu's willpower were stronger than anyone else's. Even under such pain, Lin Yu didn't even frown. His divine will aura kept soaring at this moment, and 2 black and white flames appeared between his eyebrows at the same time. The flames burned between his eyebrows, repelling and mixing. However, just when Lin Yu felt that his divine will had reached the critical point and was about to enter the yin-yang stage, suddenly, the 3 elements as one Tao in his body suffered an unprecedented backlash. His body was stinging, and even the yin-yang chi of the glory chi was activated at this moment, as if it wanted to compete with the yin-yang stage of the divine will. However, the weakest body couldn't withstand such a powerful battle at all. Lin Yu felt something sweet in his throat and suddenly opened his eyes. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood. Lin Yu immediately took out a large amount of obsidian bot from his storage ring. His 5 fingers formed into claws, and the obsidian bot melted into the purest form of energy under the black and white flames, and was completely absorbed by Lin Yu. However, the spiritual force was still clashing with the yin-yang glory aura. Lin Yu thought of something as he circulated the great void 8 sections, and a dragon image appeared behind him. Lin Yu gritted his teeth and punched forward. In the next moment, a deafening dragon roar resounded as the training room was directly punched through. Smoke rose from all directions. Half of the Hall of Elders had been turned into ruins by this punch. Fortunately, Lin Yu did not use his full strength. Otherwise, the entire Hall of Elders would probably have been destroyed. It seems that I failed to reach the yin-yang divine will state. If I want to succeed, I have to refine my divine will and my body at the same time. Lin Yu shook his head helplessly, feeling a stabbing pain in his spiritual force. Looks like I have to get the Bodhi heart as soon as possible. As far as he could remember, the Bodhi heart's terrifying vitality was the best nourishment for his body. Lin Yu had never reached the yin-yang divine will state before, but he could only rely on his 100,000 years of knowledge to judge that the Bodhi heart might be able to further improve his body. I have to go to the Bodhi sect. Lin Yu thought about Tang Xin. Maybe I don't need to go there myself. The people of the Bodhi sect will come to me. It's not difficult for the Bodhi sect to do what he did in the Shin sect. Sect Master. Several voices interrupted Lin Yu's thoughts. When the smoke and dust gradually settled, Lin Yu realized that he was in the middle of a ruin. The smell of sand came to his nose. Lin Yu coughed and stepped into the air to break through the roof of the hall. Because the main door of the training room had been destroyed by his dragon image. When Lin Yu came out, the others breathed a sigh of relief. I thought you were possessed by the devil. Qingji looked at him worriedly. Lin Yu smiled faintly. It's nothing. I just tried something fun. After he said that, Si Shaoxian had already sent people to clean up the mess. However, at this moment, the clouds in the sky suddenly broke open. 13 giant cranes broke through the sky and covered the sky of the Xian sect. The originally clear sky turned gloomy in an instant. The people of the Xian sect below also saw this strange phenomenon and were all shocked. Are those the flying cranes of the Bodhi sect? It can't be wrong. Why are the people of the Bodhi sect here? And with such a big lineup. At this moment, Zhang Lingyi looked down on the leading crane. Lin Yu, get out here. Lin Yu did not respond. At the same time, a figure disappeared from the main hall of the Xian sect. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the crane. Xian Tianzong stood with his hands behind his back. This is the Xian sect, not your Bodhi sect. Zhang Lingyi felt a strong sense of oppression. However, in the next moment, Madame Bodhi also stepped out from behind him. Hee, Xian Tianzong, you're still as useless as ever. You didn't keep your word. Madame Bodhi's slightly charming face fell into Xian Tianzong's eyes. The latter could not help but think of the romantic days back then. Mayor, long time no see. Xian Tianzong's tone was much gentler. However, he was furious when he saw Zhang Lingyi, because that was the child of Madame Bodhi and another man. It was also proof of his past relationship failure. Who are you to call me? Madame Bodhi sneered and said disdainfully, Xian Tianzong, you've been dumped by me for many years. Please respect your status. Xian Tianzong took a deep breath. He was also surprised. It seemed that after Si Junlin's death, his heart had softened a little. I've misspoken. May I know why Madame Bodhi is here? Why? Your Xian sect has agreed to marry Tang Xin to my son. Now that you've brought Tang Xin back, you have the cheek to ask me why I'm here? Madame Bodhi said harshly. Her voice contained her cultivation of the laws, so the other members of the Xian sect could hear her. This was agreed to by my unfilial son, Si Junlin. It was not my idea. Xian Tianzong smiled faintly and clasped his hands. I've asked Tang Xin. Zhang Lingyi is not the man she wants to marry. I apologize to you. As for the marriage, let's call it quits. Bullshit. Zhang Lingyi could not help but interrupt. Do you think you could just call it quits on the woman I want? Zhang Lingyi looked at Madame Bodhi and said coquettishly, Mother, look at the Xian sect. They're all helping Lin Yu. They're all bullying your son. Madame Bodhi's expression darkened. Of course, it was not entirely because of Zhang Lingyi. Her son wanted Tang Xion's body, but Madame Bodhi also wanted Tang Xion's mutant blood battle constitution. It's impossible to call it quits. If you don't hand over Tang Xion today, then hand over Lin Yu. Xian Tianzong, you choose. Madame Bodhi said coldly. Chapter 289. When Xian Tianzong revealed a troubled expression, Tang Xin wanted to step in as well. After all, she was the cause of this matter. However, Lin Yu stopped Tang Xin with one hand. He was looking for the Bodhi sect. Now that they were here, how could Lin Yu allow Tang Xin to resolve this matter? Wouldn't that be equivalent to giving away the Bodhi heart for nothing? Leave it to me. Lin Yu was prepared to take advantage of the Bodhi sect. However, when Tang Xin heard his words, she felt incomparably warm. Young master. Tears welled up in her eyes. Ever since she was young, even Xiao Mo had never treated her this well. Lin Yu couldn't see this scene as he had already stepped into the air. Zhang Lingyi, you haven't learned your lesson from the previous slap. Do you want me to teach you a lesson again? A calm voice resounded, but it brought great shock to Zhang Lingyi and Lady Bodhi, who were on the red-crowned crane. especially Zhang Lingyi. His face turned red, and he was furious. Don't spout nonsense. What did you hit me? Lin Yu, why don't you take a look at your cultivation? A mere transcendent realm. You don't even have the right to carry my shoes. Lin Yu smirked. He knew what was going on. When he first came to the inner area, he met Zhang Lingyi and taught him a lesson. However, a prideful person like Zhang Lingyi wouldn't admit to this incident. Lin Yu's gaze landed on Lady Bodhi. Madam, you're here too. Lin Yu, it's time for you to bear the consequences of your wrongdoings, right? When Lady Bodhi confronted Lin Yu, she was no longer as submissive as before. Seeing this, Lin Yu smiled and stepped forward. It's been a few days since we last met. It seems like you've achieved your goal. The Bodhi sect has a new master, right? After hearing this, Lady Bodhi's face was filled with fear. Is this brat really that powerful? What nonsense are you talking about? My husband is doing very well. She knew that it wasn't time to announce it yet. At least, her strength wasn't enough to stand her ground. That was why Madame Bodhi was so eager to get her hands on Tang Xian's mutant blood battle body. The so-called mutated blood was different from ordinary battle constitutions. The battle constitutions of those with mutated blood had immeasurable potential and could even absorb the power of the Bodhi heart. Madame Beauty had been searching in secret for years, but she had never found such a constitution. It was obvious how rare those with different bloodlines were. However, Tang Xian's appearance had given her immense confidence in absorbing the Bodhi heart and breaking through to the second-level nomological laws. If it wasn't for her son, Zhang Lingyi, who insisted on getting married, Madame Beauty would have snatched Tang Xian from the start and absorbed all of her blood for her own use. But when Madame Beauty met Lin Yu's eyes, it was as if her heart had been seen through by him. Subconsciously, she turned her face away. Lin Yu took a step forward and once again approached his mother in front of Zhang Lingyi. Bastard, what do you want to do to my mother? Zhang Lingyi recalled that his mother and Lin Yu seemed to have an unclear relationship. Otherwise, why would his mother listen to Lin Yu every time they met? Thinking of this, Zhang Lingyi felt a sense of shame. Back off! Madame Beauty's words stopped Zhang Lingyi from going forward. The latter gritted his teeth. Damn it, there must be a story between you two. But Zhang Lingyi only thought that in his mind. Naturally, he didn't dare to say a word. Your eyes have already betrayed you. Lin Yu was less than 3 feet away from Madame Beauty. He slowly said, It seems that Patriarch Beauty is already dead. Otherwise, you wouldn't have dared to come to me. Nonsense, Madame Beauty said angrily. Lin Yu knew that he had to break through this woman's line of defense to achieve his goal. So he added, You're no longer afraid of Patriarch Beauty investigating Zhang Lingyi's background. So you don't need to be afraid of me, right? Taking a deep breath, Madame Beauty looked at Lin Yu warily. That was what she thought at first. But as soon as she saw Lin Yu, he saw through all her thoughts. This was already a great fear. Faced with an opponent who could see through her thoughts, Madame Beauty's tone softened helplessly. Even if you tell me what you know now, no one will believe you. Of course, Lin Yu shrugged. Because Patriarch Beauty, the one who cared the most about this matter, is already dead. Everyone else is just here to watch a show. What do you have to fear? It's good that you know. Madame Beauty leaned closer. Hand over Tang Xian, and I'll spare your life. Lin Yu, you're a smart man. She thought that Lin Yu would choose to compromise after learning about the current situation. But Madame Beauty laughed when she saw Lin Yu. Tang Xian has her own choice. If she doesn't want to marry Zhang Lingyi, then she doesn't need to. A disciple of the celestial sect of wonders is not someone your Bodhi sect can force. Black Tianzong's face twitched when he heard this. This sentence was equivalent to dragging him down with it. But before Black Tianzong could react, Lin Yu asked again, If you don't believe me, you can ask the Black Tianzong sect leader. This Black Tianzong cursed in his heart. When he saw Madame Beauty, his heart softened. Now Lin Yu was pushing the blame to him again. This was not right. Black Tianzong, so you were the one who ordered Tang Xian to be kidnapped? Madame Beauty's stern voice rang out. Good Black Tianzong. What an honorable Black Tianzong. Mayor, let me explain. Black Tianzong wanted to finish his sentence. But the person he hated the most, Zhang Lingyi, cut him off. Cut the crap. Lin Yu, if you want a woman, then use your strength. With that, he took out a letter and threw it at Lin Yu with the power of the Grand Supreme. Lin Yu raised his hand to catch it. On the letter, Zhang Lingyi's 700 surges of power of the Grand Supreme instantly exploded. But Lin Yu also activated his 3 elements in one realm. His right hand formed the shadow of a dragon as he caught the letter. This is the letter of challenge. Lin Yu, I will be waiting for you at the Bodhi sect in 3 days. Only the winner can have Tang Xian. Zhang Lingyi's voice rang out. Lin Yu did not even look at the letter of challenge. However, Black Tianzong, Si Shaoxian, and the others below immediately felt that something was wrong. Master, don't agree to it. If you want to fight, don't fight at the Bodhi sect. Who knows what Zhang Lingyi will do? That's right. If you have the guts, fight at the Xin sect. Master is not afraid of Zhang Lingyi. Hearing the advice of many people, Tang Xian clenched her fists even tighter. If Lin Yu had not told her not to step on air, she would have jumped into Lin Yu's arms long ago. Holding the letter of challenge in his hand, Lin Yu only smiled faintly. What? You don't dare to accept it? Lin Yu, you're just a coward hiding in the Xin sect. Zhang Lingyi mocked again. If you don't dare, then get lost. I'll take Tang Xian back today. Tonight, I'll let her know that I'm a real man for 2 hours. Be careful with your words. Madame Beauty said angrily with an ugly expression. Chapter 290. Zhang Lingyi chuckled. What do you think, trash? You don't dare to accept the challenge? Master, I'll take charge of this matter. You can leave first. Black Tianzong saw that the situation was not right and immediately stepped in to smooth things over for Lin Yu. After all, Lin Yu is only able to trap Si Junlin with the help of the 8 elders and the 8 trigrams formation. In the eyes of the crowd, it was already a miracle that his combat strength was comparable to an early-stage 100 Dao Grand Exalt. However, although Zhang Lingyi looked like a spoiled brat, he was a true 700 Dao Grand Exalt. Lin Yu did not care about what others thought and waved his hand. Using women as stakes is not something I like to do. He immediately threw Zhang Lingyi's challenge letter. What do you mean? Zhang Lingyi narrowed his eyes and laughed disdainfully. Haha, I know. Don't find excuses if you're afraid of death. You're not my match in a one-on-one fight. What I mean is, Lin Yu moved closer to Zhang Lingyi. He was taller than Zhang Lingyi and looked down into his eyes. Don't use women as stakes. If you want to bet your life and mine. As soon as he said that, everyone's heart skipped a beat. Not only was Lin Yu not afraid of Zhang Lingyi, but he also wanted to bet his life with him. Don't use women as stakes. How can this guy be so handsome? Below, Yin Xiaoxiao could not help but look at him with admiration. Not only Yin Xiaoxiao, but in the eyes of all the girls who heard that, Lin Yu's figure grew countless times taller after that sentence. Xin Tianzong swallowed his saliva as well. This kid isn't an impulsive person. What is he planning? Even Zhang Lingyi was shocked by Lin Yu's terrifying gaze. Son, this is strange. Madame Bodhi quickly added, Don't agree yet. What? Who's afraid now? Lin Yu smirked. Zhang Lingyi's breathing quickened, and he gritted his teeth. Fine. I'll bet my life with you. Very well. We'll do as you said. 3 days later. Having achieved his goal, Lin Yu turned around, ignoring Zhang Lingyi and the others from the Bodhi sect as he returned to his dilapidated elder hall. Lin Yu, you better be on time. Otherwise, this young master will definitely come to the celestial sect of wonders to take your life. Zhang Lingyi was furious, but for some reason, he only dared to speak like this after Lin Yu left. Once he met Lin Yu's gaze, Zhang Lingyi felt as if he had seen a terrifying existence. All of his confidence was gone. Since that's the case, I'll be waiting for you in 3 days. Madame Beauty was worried. She knew Lin Yu well. There weren't many people who could threaten her, and there weren't many people in the inner area who had the guts to threaten her and see through her thoughts. There must be something wrong with Lin Yu's actions. Son, you're too impulsive. Lin Yu isn't someone who would bet his life with you. Mother, in the face of absolute power, Who cares what tricks he has? Right? If you're worried, why don't you lend me that treasure? You child. Lost in thought, the people from the Bodhi sect and the red-crowned crane turned and left the celestial sect of wonders. A battle that was about to start was delayed until 3 days later. After the people from the Bodhi sect left, the people from the Black Heaven sect, Si Shaoxian, and Qian Dalong came one after another, but were all rejected by Lin Yu. When Mu Zhan and Mu Qingqing came, Lin Yu thought of something and let them in. I didn't expect a master to only meet us, father and daughter, Mu Zhan said happily, thinking that he could show off in front of Qian Dalong and the other elders. Young master, Mu Qingqing hadn't seen Lin Yu for a long time. She immediately went up and bowed. Young master, are you all right? I heard that the people from the Bodhi sect came looking for trouble. Didn't you see? Mu Qingqing shook her head. I was studying the mech of the celestial sect of wonders. I only found out when I came out. Young master, did they bully you? Lin Yu smiled faintly. Yes, they did. Do you want to avenge me? I must, Mu Qingqing said firmly. But the ones who bullied me are the Bodhi sect. In terms of strength, they are not weaker than the celestial sect of wonders. Then Qingqing wants it too. As long as the mech is completed, Qingqing will definitely avenge you. After Mu Qingqing finished speaking, she felt Lin Yu touch the top of her head. Qingqing, don't talk nonsense. Mu Zhan glanced at Mu Qingqing angrily. What nonsense are you talking about? How can our small Mu family take revenge on a giant like the Bodhi sect? Before Mu Qingqing could reply, Mu Zhan had already turned to Lin Yu. My apologies, master. I'm just a child. He was worried that Lin Yu would see through his thoughts. He smiled and said, Qingqing came with me mainly to persuade master to let go of the matter with Zhongling. Oh, Lin Yu smiled. Mu Zhan continued. Although Zhongling is known for being a good-for-nothing, the Bodhi sect has spent a lot of resources on him since he was a child. The Bodhi sect is also a top-notch alchemy sect and has many ways to strengthen one's body. Master Mu, just say it. Lin Yu poured a cup of tea. Looking at Mu Qingqing's expression, he suddenly thought of something interesting. Master, please don't blame me. I'm saying that Zhongling's combat strength is actually not weak. I'm afraid Master will be at a disadvantage in this battle. Mu Zhan shook his head helplessly. Plus, there are more than 2 days left. I'm guessing that the Bodhi sect will definitely give Zhongling the most powerful pill. By then, Zhongling's combat strength will probably not be a match for us. Qingqing, come here. Lin Yu was not moved by Mu Zhan's words at all. Mu Qingqing was stunned, but she still obediently went to Lin Yu's side. Under Lin Yu's signal, she leaned her ear closer. The Xian sect mecha is an imitation of the Grand Supreme Golden Body. However, after some modifications, its combat strength can be even stronger. Lin Yu explained in detail. Hearing the voice beside her ear and the most precious treasure entering her body, Mu Qingqing's heart beat faster and faster. Public morals are degenerating day by day. Mu Zhan stomped his feet. From his perspective, Lin Yu and Mu Qingqing did not seem to be doing anything serious. However, he remembered that Lin Yu had first appeared in the Xian sect in his daughter's room. Perhaps there was already something going on between the two of them. Master, Qingqing this, Mu Zhan's face turned red. Just as he was about to leave, Mu Qingqing and Lin Yu separated. Do you understand? Mu Qingqing nodded with a red face. Then go. Seeing Mu Qingqing's eager look, Lin Yu did not stop her. Mu Qingqing bowed and left the elder's hall. So fast. Mu Zhan looked at Lin Yu with disdain. It seemed that his daughter would not be happy in the future. Master, did Qingqing persuade you anything? No. Lin Yu answered casually. I taught her some things. Mu Qingqing should be in seclusion for a while. Don't let anyone disturb her. Chapter 291. Then, do you need to go into seclusion to do that? Mu Zhan's face turned red, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. It's nothing. Please, Palace Master Mu. Lin Yu didn't bother with Mu Zhan's thoughts and directly asked him to leave. The only person he wanted to see was Mu Qingqing. After all, when Lin Yu was at his weakest, Mu Qing Qing had taken care of him. After the two left, Qin Ji came. Sect Master, I have something to say. Come in. Qin Ji bowed and came in. The war is imminent. Sect Master, aren't you going to cultivate? Lin Yu smiled awkwardly. He remembered that he almost failed when he forced his divine sense into the yin-yang realm in the morning. Now, he could only slowly recuperate for a few days. His body didn't allow him to cultivate. Seeing that Lin Yu didn't want to answer, Qin Ji didn't ask and changed the topic. The 8-winged monster Emperor Python hatched. Little monkey is so fast. Lin Yu's thoughts were immediately attracted by this sentence. When we want to chase Tang Xin, it just hatched. The young lady you brought back has been guarding it. Before Qin Ji could finish speaking, she saw darkness in front of her, and Lin Yu had already disappeared. So fast, Qin Ji couldn't help but gulp. Even though her cultivation had reached the Grand Supreme realm, she still felt that there was a gap between her and Lin Yu. At least in terms of speed, Qin Ji still couldn't catch up with Lin Yu. Arriving at the place where Lin Yu and the others were, Lin Yu saw the solitary extinguishing universe staff standing on the ground, guarded by these people. You guys stay here and guard it. As soon as Lin Yu finished speaking, he had already entered the world inside the stick. When Lin Yu appeared on the floating continent, he was already next to the heavenly lake. The fog here was extremely thick and blocked his vision. However, the moment Lin Yu landed on the ground, he sensed a palm energy coming toward him. This palm strike was so fast that it exceeded the Grand Supreme realm. If it weren't for Lin Yu's 100,000 years of combat experience, even he would have been hit. But at this moment, Lin Yu instantly moved to the right. The moment he dodged the palm strike, he pointed forward. Ah! And a woman's panicked voice immediately came from the fog. Lin Yu waved his hand, and Mei appeared in front of him. Why are you here? Lin Yu lowered his head subconsciously. You're taking a bath here? After saying that, he immediately withdrew his hand. Only he knew where his finger had touched. I'm here to guard your demon, Emperor Python. Mei said aggrievedly. Then, she hurriedly put on her clothes. Don't worry, it's too late, Lin Yu said heartlessly. And see what she to see. Be seen. Bastard, how dare you peek at me? Mei's aura erupted, and a maxim was about to rush out. But in the next moment, she gritted her teeth. Forget it. The demon Emperor Python is very weak now. I don't want to hurt him. Where is he? No, where's the egg? Mei pointed in a direction. Lin Yu had already disappeared into the fog. Bastard Lin Yu, you're so concerned about an egg? Mei's aura came from nowhere. She had never seen Lin Yu so concerned about her, or anyone else. When Lin Yu stopped again, he was already outside a huge 9-colored egg that was at least 10 feet long. When the 8-winged demon Emperor Python and the little monkey saw Lin Yu return, they immediately greeted him. No need for formalities. The two beasts understood human nature, especially the demon Emperor Python. At this moment, it was weakly circling around the 9-colored egg. It was already somewhat inconvenient for it to move. How did you hatch such a big egg? Lin Yu asked curiously. No wonder the 8-winged demon Emperor Python's aura was already on the verge of death. As for the little monkey, it looked just as weak. You've been guarding here all this time, and you even used up your strength? Lin Yu asked. The little monkey nodded. You do look like a father. Lin Yu took out a billion glory bot. Eat it. Then, he took a step forward. The demon Emperor Python naturally knew that Lin Yu would not harm its child, so it sensibly moved aside. Lin Yu pressed one hand on the 9-colored egg and closed his eyes. He could hear a shocking vitality coming from inside. The crystallization of the exterminating ape and ancient demon. Knowing that the 9-colored egg was in good condition, Lin Yu was in a good mood. He sent a voice transmission to the low-key sect and asked them to prepare 10 billion glory bot. The true sun fire and 9 nether cold fire were used at the same time, and the 10 billion glory bot melted at a speed visible to the naked eye. This, the sect master directly burned 10 billion glory bot. Heavens, what kind of spending is this? Is the sect master doing this for our sect guardian beast? Lin Yu was not in the mood to pay attention to these voices. All the glory bot's power was rapidly flowing into the 8-winged demon Emperor Python and the little monkey's body. After the two beasts absorbed about 1 billion glory bot, they were full. Lin Yu stopped. You two go and rest. I'll stay here. After he appeared, the two beasts breathed a sigh of relief. Although this was Lin Yu's territory, they only truly trusted Lin Yu. Only Lin Yu could be here without any scruples. As for Mei and the others, they were just waiting silently at a farther place. The two beasts retreated to the side. Lin Yu formed a seal with both hands. At this time, you should need a lot of power. The black and white flames burned, and the remaining 9 billion glory bots' power began to flow into the 9-colored egg again. At the same time, the 9-colored egg began to madly absorb the glory bot's power, as if it had been dry for a long time. Lin Yu smiled. Very good. I'll give you as much as you can absorb. He really wanted to know how much potential the thing inside the egg had. 100 million, 500 million, 1 billion. In less than a few minutes, the 9-colored egg had absorbed more glory chi than its parents combined. The corners of his mouth rose, obviously knowing that it was still early. Your potential should be more than that. Let me see how strong you are. As if it had heard Lin Yu's words, a 9-colored cyclone appeared on the surface of the 9-colored egg. This cyclone was like a whirlpool in the sea, constantly devouring the majestic glory bot's power. 2 billion, 5 billion, 8 billion. Seeing this, Lin Yu immediately ordered someone to bring over 10 storage rings. Each one of them contained 10 billion glory bot. This is almost half of the low-key sect's wealth. The sect master is crazy. The sect master is crazy. Calm down, sect master. The rest of the low-key sect saw the glory chi engulfing the low-key sect like a tsunami. Even with Mei's background, she was still stunned at this moment. This guy, is it because of the egg? Only Lin Yu knew how powerful the 9-colored egg in the glory chi vortex was. The 8-winged demon emperor python and the little monkey could only absorb 1 billion glory bot now. But this guy, before it was even born, had already swallowed 20 billion glory bot. Not enough, not enough. If you only have this much potential, then I'm very disappointed. Lin Yu said again. The Yao Qi in the surroundings suddenly changed again. The original vortex rose into the air and formed a storm. A storm soared into the sky. At this moment, the space within the heaven and earth staff suddenly began to tremble. The entire low-key sect shook. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.